Hey, everybody on YouTube, what is going on, man? As we kick off the second to last show of the week, and we're going to have a beauty tonight. I don't know if David Weatherly is going to be joining us. He is filming out on the East Coast, looking for them monsters and maybe a few aliens in between. But Ross Allison, one of my favorite paranormal investigators, is going to step in. He's good friends with Dave. They got a brand new book coming out in just a couple of weeks called Haunted Jails, part of their Haunted series. And I'll tell you, Ross is and Dave, combined with David, are two of the classiest guys you could meet in this field. And you know, they both rock top hats, so you know that works for me. You know that works big time. And you know, before we bring Ross in, let's give ourselves a little bit of the rundown here tonight, because we love it saying hello to all of you guys. Mike L. in the gold medal position, race fan in silver. John Swan taking home the bronze tonight. Music maker, how you doing? The gorgeous and talented Jennifer Richardson Elizalde is here, everyone. Dirt Road and Dirty Filth, the Dirty Twins, right there, hanging on out. Worsley, how you doing, man? James Smith, welcome. Molotov, good to see you. And Chris Jarvis, always a pleasure, my friend. Hello, Terrence. Good to see you here. So much. You changed your name. I lost you there for a second, but now I got you back. Good to have you. The gorgeous Katie is back, everyone. Raul, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, thanks for joining us. And there she is, the sultry Susie Cutesy. Yes, sultry Susie Cutesy. There she is, everyone. Give her a wave. Spudgy, good morning to you in the United Kingdom. Thanks for joining us. Oh, the pride of the Hallmark Channel. Corey is back. Yes, he's turned down the Coldplay and is ready for Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you back, Corrance. And there's his big papa, the bench-pressing 480-pound muscular stallion Bigfoot hunter himself, Nate Foot, all the way from the pride of Spokane, Washington. Good to see you tonight, Nate. Thank you for coming on in. Maria Sandra Amador, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. Thank you for joining our chat room. The Jim Christie is here, everyone. The Jim Christie. Good to see you, Jim. And Commonwealth Andrew, good morning to you. Stu Gerson, everybody. Stu Gerson. He'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up outside the studio to the right. You know, Jenny, nice to see you. Beautiful. Ozzy. Oi, oi, oi. Paul John Tavares, still no Stanley Cup for you. Lance, good to have you here. My brother Eugene, how are you? How's Philly tonight? I hope it's not snowing there like it is here, man. Eugene will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio. Yeah, so that'll be really, really good. Stu on the right, Eugene on the left. Lots of time for tonight. Oh, there she is, everyone. The pride of Alaska, Alaska's greatest athlete, the gorgeous and talented Emily Bigelow is back. There she is. Make sure you give everybody a wave and a cap nod. There, Em. Desert Clam, how you doing, buddy? Mary Bone, she's a vegetarian. Mary Bone. How are you tonight? Good to see you. Steve Stockton and Drake, good to have you guys here. The gorgeous Jessica McCreary, good to have you. Go 66. Boo. Hope I scared you. Troy, how you doing, man? Good to see you here. Misty OC Dragons, welcome to our chat room for the first time. Thank you for joining us. Focus, good to have you back. Sir Wolf, thanks for coming on in. Polar Eclipse and Yola Tango, good to see you guys. JP Bassmaster, always a pleasure. Felicia Torres, how are you? Welcome to our chat room. I believe this might be your first time. I hope you enjoy the show. Fapster, you're looking lovely and stunning tonight. Thank you for joining us, buddy. I appreciate that. Thurston Howell III, please say hello to Lovey for us, if you don't mind. We'd appreciate that. Virgil, good to see you here. Let's see. Corey says, I am, when do you say, Corey? Where'd you go? So I am Hallmark, and he is the stallion, but he won't tell you. I could choke him out. Leave Dad alone, man. Leave Dad alone. Bug, how are you, man? Good to have you back as time is starting to wind down here before the show. You guys are just jammed on in here. The gorgeous Larry Schulte is here. Richard Elmore, good to see you. Hi, Stunning Jules. How are you? Bombshell Bomber, good to see you. Project Blue Book, always a pleasure to have you here. And scrolling on down. Sweet Annie Svensson is here, everyone. Make sure you say hello to her. Hi, Redheaded Lisa. And Mr. Apnea, good to see you're awake. Great way to support this show, everyone, is to hit that subscribe button. If you are new, give us a thumbs up if you like tonight's show. The super chat is open, and you can do some shopping at facebook.com/the SOR Vault, where we store all of our t-shirts. Check them out there. We're going to have a great show. Ross Allison from Seattle, a paranormal researcher extraordinaire. We're going to get going here in 5 seconds, everyone. Let's have a good one. Stay tuned. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Now, normally, every couple of months, we have our good friend David Weatherly on the show, but David is trapped right now on the East Coast. He's trapped by monsters, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot, and even probably some gnomes have him tied up. And we were going to do a show on everything paranormal, because that's what we do with David, and he may still join us tonight. He is actually filming a documentary series, but the good news is our good buddy and David's good buddy, Ross Allison, is here as well. Now, Ross is from Seattle, Washington. He is the president and founder of A Ghost, Advanced Ghost Hunters of Seattle, Tacoma, with over 30 years of investigation. That part I don't believe about his biography, because literally the guy looks about 25 years old. I don't know how he does it. I really don't. I want some of those young pills that he's taken. Maybe it'll change my beard color back. But he's traveled internationally. He's been seen on television. He has literally investigated almost everywhere he's wanted to investigate. In my opinion, if you want to learn how to ghost hunt, guys like Ross Allison are whom you have to learn from. He does it the right way. He's looking for answers. It's not just about going out and getting a little bit of spookiness in your night. We'll get to Ross in a second. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Ross Allison, how you doing, my friend?
It's good to be back. How you doing?
I am good, man. I am good. And you know, we should probably tell the audience that within the next few weeks here, we're going to be looking at putting in a new little paranormal series on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, where we're going to come on in and talk some paranormal, the do's, the don'ts, the hauntings, the scary stories, and what's all BS as well.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. The Angry Ghost Hunter Show.
Yes.
And it's something that I had been working on, almost 10 years. I did it in the past, and it was very successful. And then just my life got so busy. And I want to bring it back. A lot of people have asked if I'd ever bring it back. And it's a show that I have no problem talking about some of the problems that we have in this field and confronting those problems and how we work together as a society and try to fix the problems.
And you know, I have no problem standing on a little bit of a pedestal here and proclaiming to my audience that I don't like a lot of the paranormal because of the hypocrisy, because of the lies, because of a lot of different dirty deeds that aren't done dirt cheap. See the wordplay there? That was nice.
I did.
That was
I got
nice.
that AC/DC.
That was nice. And you know, I haven't been a big fan of the paranormal world for probably the last 3-4 years. Mainly not the subject, but the people. And the reason why I feel kind of attached to guys like you and Dave is because I've watched you guys over the years. I've listened to your talks. I've met you guys personally, and I've listened, and everything you guys have stated about the paranormal field is the way I think it should be done, which is we should be going into the research areas looking for answers. It's not about that EVP. It's not
Mhm.
about that photograph of a shadow person or getting pushed or punched or something physically assaultive. It's about trying to find answers as to why these spirits are sticking around. Where are they? Who are they? Why are they here? Why haven't they moved on? And if they do move on, where do they move on to? What is your thoughts about conclusiveness, Ross, in the paranormal field? Because there doesn't seem a lot to be a lot of conclusions.
Well, that's the thing is the problem with the field today is we have far too many, and I hate to say this, lazy ghost hunters. People don't want to do the actual research. They want instant results, that instant gratification when they go into a haunted place, and so they look to devices that are very suggestive in spewing out audio matrixing and image matrixing, hoping that they can pull something out of it as proof to the paranormal. And it's not that easy. I wish it was. Um, Believe me, after and I have been in this field 30 years, but I really do wish people would go back to, I hate to say it, our old school ways. I realize that we have moved to the digital era and it's a lot easier to collect the data, but a lot of people aren't willing to collect the data or don't know how, I should say, too. I'm not sitting there pointing fingers at everybody and saying they're lazy. A lot of people don't know how to do it right. They're imitating a lot of these television shows that aren't doing it right, and basically claiming to be expert ghost hunters just because they've seen every episode of Ghost Hunters. And that's the biggest problem is the lack of research, the lack of collecting data. Because as I've always said, the more data you have, the more credible your experience becomes.
Hmm. Well, Ross, on the same side though, when you go in and take that stance like I have, or like you have, or I know David and other real great researchers there have kind of drawn a line in the sand saying, guys, we got to fix this. This isn't about me or you or anybody, but let's fix this. And basically, you guys are called a bunch of jerks, egotistical people, a-holes, whatever you want to say, because there'll always be that person. Well, I've been doing this for 25 years, and what you're saying is complete bogus. You're not going to tell me what to do. And in the meantime, you've never heard of this person, and they live in your city.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There is a lot of egos in this field, and that's the biggest problem is because we all have to understand that there is no experts. We're all learning as we go. I say that there is a lot of experience, so you got to have to look towards the people that do have experience in this field. And I'm still learning as I go too. I don't have all the answers, and I think that's one of the things that you have to be honest with. My I think my success comes from my honesty. I'm willing to learn from other people. There might be some other team out there that's doing something different that may work for us. And so we have to be more open-minded and willing to learn and not just be a know-it-all.
Hmm.
And that's the biggest problem is there's far too many know-it-alls.
We're going to get into more of that later on in the show, but I do want to ask you because you are somebody who is a very rare breed in this field where you do this for a living, and you
Yes.
have I should say, had a haunted museum that was a tourist attraction in Seattle. You did a lot of paranormal ghost tours. You gave a lot of lectures around Seattle and university campuses like the University of Washington. And because of COVID and the way things have been locked down, you're literally struggling to survive right now because your entire life has been put on hold for this disease. How has that affected you?
Well, it's been tough. It really has. One thing I've written more books because of it. I've been at home a lot more. I haven't been able to travel like I used to. So it has been tough, yeah, because the government shut down all tourism, so I can't do my tours. A lot of the campuses were shut down, in the beginning of this, especially around Halloween when that was my busiest time doing lectures. So I didn't get to out there to do any lectures. So it's one of those things that I just had to pass the time and make use of it. And I got a couple books done in that time, and now we're getting ready to start on my 11th book now with David. So that's been nice. But right now I just have to be thankful. I've been able to collect unemployment, so that's helped a little bit. I know our government really doesn't have it together in taking care of those who are struggling during these times. I think Canada's got it a lot better, don't you? You're giving me that look.
So with you, okay, how have you
I'm
been?
assuming you guys got it better.
Everybody always assumes.
All right.
Everybody always assumes. But for you personally, I mean, how have you been able to keep the positivity going and keep your chin up? I mean, you're going on pretty much 15 months now out of
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. Um, I think for me, I've always been a very creative person. So I've used my downtime to be a little more creative. I was hoping to film a little bit more, but again, because of COVID, we weren't getting access into places I wanted to film in. So I think for me, it's just been, just getting in there and doing the writing that I like to do, doing some graphic arts that I like to do. So that's helped me keep a little more positive. It's just being a little more creative rather than just sitting in my little COVID cocoon and being all humdrum.
No, and I can see that. And, mentally, though, how have you had to change your focus with the way you do the paranormal? Because you are locked down, people want to know all the time what you're up to, how you're doing, what are you sneaking out for investigations?
Well,
People want to know.
we have been fortunate enough to do a few controlled investigations, not many, not like we used to. We've been doing extremely small teams, 3 to 4 people. Masks, we're wearing masks, we're protecting ourselves, we're protecting our clients, and just making sure we're keeping our social distance. Because again, the paranormal activity is still happening out there, so we are definitely still hearing the stories, and people are still coming to us asking for assistance. But again, we have to be a little more cautious, and safe for everybody around.
A lot of people being at home have stated through COVID that they've noticed more paranormal activity inside their homes. And they've also seen more UFOs. 2020 was probably one of the biggest year for UFO sightings because people were actually taking the time, or because they were forced to maybe have that glass of wine or that drink on your patio at night and stare up at the stars rather than going out for dinner or going out to a club. How has the reaction in the paranormal field been? People contacting you regarding ghosts in their house that they've never noticed before?
Well, in the beginning, it was actually quite slow because I think that fear factor was in a lot of people's minds that they didn't want to reach out to the public and request us to come in and figure out what's going on. But yeah, people have had a lot more downtime and are home more to experience a lot of the phenomena that they probably mostly ignored during their busy days. So yeah, that has increased quite a bit, and I think the downtime that people have had now, they are a little more relaxed and now more aware of what's going on around them. So I think that has definitely helped with the case numbers going up. But unfortunately, again, because of COVID, you're still pretty limited on what you can pursue at this time just to be safe for the client and yourselves.
Is it a matter of safety? Is that the big thing? Like the new ghosts that are being seen? I mean, is it a matter of safety for them or teaching people how to react? I mean, because really, there is no book, that says, what do you do if you find out your house is haunted?
Well, you definitely want to be safe for our lives are alone, with the COVID. But there are some things that we do try to help them with if we can't get out there in a system. And one of the things is you do have to educate these people, because fear immediately kicks in once they think that their place is haunted. So they automatically are, because of the media teachings, they automatically think that it's something out to harm them. And in most cases, that is not the case. A lot of times when you're experiencing paranormal activity, sometimes it could be just trying to get your attention to say, hey, I'm here too. You've been ignoring me all these years. Hey, listen up. Maybe I have a message I want to pass on. And so all we do is try to teach our clients that, yeah, you might be dealing with something that could be possible paranormal. These are some of the steps that you could take while you're waiting for, a time when, a team can actually come out and do a more professional investigation. So, maybe sit down and do an EVP session, listen to see if there is something talking back. Set up a camera, set up your cell phone overnight and let it record and see if it'll, capture something in the night. Because one of the things is, it's so easy to point at every little thing, every crack and every ping and every pop and say, oh, that's a ghost, and really truly believe that it's paranormal. And a lot of times, we can go in and debunk a lot of those, settling noises that homes naturally do or businesses naturally do. So to save us some time and energy, you kind of have to walk them through the steps to determine, are they really dealing with something that's paranormal, or is it just their imagination? And so journaling is one of the most important things. I always encourage people, journal your experiences, your times, the dates, what you think you experienced, because that journal helps us as a paranormal team to see if there's patterns to the activity and if some of the events can be debunked. Because another thing that I've learned, with one of my books I'm working on, Psychology for the Ghost Hunter, is the fact that people don't seem to understand that when they do experience something odd and they tell their story, or they try to retell their experience to other people, sometimes they exaggerate the experience, or they give misleading information about the experience. Not that they're intentionally trying to lie to you, but they want to convince you that they had this experience. And so by journaling, you have this raw information that comes from them right after they had that experience. So it's that one true story that you can go back to and reflect on and say, okay, this is what seems to have happened. And we can determine whether that is possibly paranormal or could it be debunked.
I always thought it was bad juju to investigate your own home.
Well, there's some things you probably don't want to know, and it's best not knowing. I can understand that. I know, being in the paranormal field, I probably wouldn't want to live in a haunted house. Why take work home with you? But I know a lot of people have, lived in haunted houses. Some people got into this field because they lived in a haunted house. So I wouldn't say it's bad juju. It's just one of those things that, for me, I'm a very private person. So thinking that there's somebody that I can't see standing over watching me, kind of be like, oh, that'd be kind of a little eerie for me at home, you know?
Oh, dude, I mean, like around my house, dealing with this subject on a daily basis, there's always something happening.
uh,
It may be small, it may be large. The recent ones have been dreams. Previous to the dreams, there was a ghost dog that I've seen 3 times. It looks like a twin to my black German Shepherd that used to be Merle's, and then he tried to get in the door one day. That was interesting. After we brought the
well,
dogs in, I brought the dogs in and closed the door, and all of a sudden there was a tap at the door and a paw scratch at the door. You know, I mean,
well,
I
well.
mean, there's always something happening. Always
See, a
something
ghost
happening.
pet would probably be pretty cool. In fact, I actually had an interesting experience when it comes with a pet. It was probably, gosh, over 10 years ago when I had lost one of my dogs. He was hit by a car.
Oh no.
And so I ended up, we had a little small service at the house, and and we had set up his, his dog bed was all cleaned off. We had his toys lined up on his dog bed, and I had his urn, on the dog bed. And it was late. Everybody had already gone home. It was just me and my roommate, and I was getting ready to go to bed. And he calls me yelling and screaming from the living room. And so I run out to see what's wrong, and he's pointing at the dog bed, and in the bed, you could actually see a perfect dog print. And I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting, because I know I cleaned it. I wiped it clean, just make it look nice, got rid of all the dog hair, just for it'd be nice for the ceremony. And sure enough, right in the middle of the bed was this perfect dog print.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That reminds me of when my little Zero died, man. That first night I came up to bed after the show, and I could see her lying on the bed. And I was like, Zero, you got to move. Like, not even thinking. I'm like, Zero, you got to move, honey. And it just kind of disappeared.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like, it was almost like get up and disappear at the same time. And but that was intense.
And that's what makes this field so fascinating, because, people have always asked, yeah, there's lots of reports of people haunting locations, but, people have always asked, well, what about animals? There's lots of animals out there. And one of the things I've always said is most animal reportings that we come across are ghosts of domesticated animals, because domesticated animals are afraid of humans. But you don't see wild animals, because what does a wild animal do when it sees you? It runs away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the paranormal field, it'd probably be the exact same thing. If there are ghosts of deer and bears and stuff like that, and it'd probably run away from you. So I always find it fascinating that there are stories of animals as well.
No, it's intriguing, and let's face it. I mean, animals, especially dogs, and cats sometimes, I guess, but especially dogs. I mean, dogs live for you.
Hmm.
Their whole life is you.
They're more loyal.
We all have this giant life. Their entire focus is, hey, where's my master? What's he doing? What's he doing? You know?
We're like, when are you gonna feed me? Come on, feed me,
Yeah,
feed
no
me, feed me
kidding.
now.
No kidding.
My dog's just like that.
Oh goodness. My
That's
dog.
like you starving him to death.
Oh, my dog
I,
gave me the eyes today. Like it was 5:03 this afternoon, and they were giving me the eyes. Like, you haven't fed me. Like, you're starving me here. It's like, guys, you don't eat until like 5:15.
I
You're
know,
you're, you're starving
exactly.
me.
You just ate an hour ago and you're starving to death already?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Ross Allison is our guest tonight. We have about 1 minute before we have to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We're talking paranormal all night long. Russ, whether it's pets, whether it's ghosts in your own home, you mentioned something real quick here, and we're going to have a short answer about, maybe you don't want to know what's hanging in your house. Is it best to let another group come in and investigate your house then?
Yes, I think if they definitely have the history in investigating, I have no problem sharing a location. But I have a much longer answer for that afterwards.
Well, that is, the tensions are high in the paranormal world. Ross is like a paranormal hockey player. He's ready to drop the gloves. He's
I
ready to
am.
drop the gloves and make things happen. But I am just surprised, after all this time, all these years, the brilliancy of all the people that are in this field, that there is really no rule book. That there
There
is.
isn't. There should be. There should be some strict protocols, because I think that would help us move further in the field.
Absolutely.
But
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Ross Allison from A Ghost in Seattle is wearing a top hat tonight. You never go wrong with a top hat. One of these days, I'm going to buy one. I'm going to, just for Ross and David. Spaced Out Radio continues after this. Just finding out some breaking news from Captain Shirk that Hasbro has dropped the Mr. from Mr. Potato Head.
really,
Yes.
So it's just Potato Head. Well, there used to be the time when you could actually cross-dress them. It could be Mrs. Potato or Mr. Potato Head, depending on the accessory. So
Because it makes a difference. You could totally cross dress them. What's the difference?
I know.
Ah, makes me pull my beard. Makes me pull my beard. You know, but that's okay.
It doesn't make it grow faster, I tell you.
I wish it would. Like, at least give me another centimeter or two.
Oh, you'll be able to braid it soon. Get some beads in that thing.
Mm-hmm. I'll be like Bumblefoot. He's got beads in his.
Does he?
Yeah, he's got beads in his.
See, I can't get it long. I just, after a certain point, it's just like my beard doesn't want to go down. It wants to grow out.
You have to form it.
I try. I've
You
been
have
doing
to
beard
form it.
oil and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it does. It's got a mind of its own.
Speaking of beard oil, I'm going to use some Mighty Moose beard oil here. Maybe it's because you don't use Canadian beard oil.
Oh, is that what it is?
It could be because Gary the Dutchman in the heart of Chilliwack, British Columbia, makes Mighty Moose beard oil. And you just kind of just rub it in, massage it in, make yourself feel nice and sexy. You know, all natural, no chemicals.
I started this. Somebody introduced me to Alpha Male beard oil, and I fell in love with it because it also comes in a glass skull, a container
Really?
with a top hat. With a top hat.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, look it up. Alpha Male beard oil, and it actually had a really good smell to it, so I was really happy with it. So,
Well, I'm sticking with Mighty Moose beard oil, A, because it's Canadian, B, because Gary's a Dutchman who is actually giving us a deal. And to get a deal out of a Dutchman is damn near impossible. Damn near impossible. So if our listeners use promo code SOR2019, they're going to be able to get $1 off their purchase, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're spending in American dollars, it's only like $14 instead of 15, or if in Canadian money, it's probably $19 instead of 20. So it does help. You use it for ladies. Works great in the hair. And yeah, MightyMooseBeard.com.
Is there a smell to it?
Yeah, it smells almost like a candy cane.
Candy cane?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
See, I'm really attracted to smells, so I
Yeah.
like it. Smells like the big thing for me.
Yeah. No.
And I like woodsy, earthy type smells.
Yeah. The other one that I have of his, the first one is very much like that. And he's just got a new flavor, a new scent out. It's coming up here right now. I forget what it's called. I was trying to get him to call it the Sasquatch, but he didn't go for it. You know, didn't go for it. I lost that bet.
Well, when you said flavor, I'm thinking, oh, is this something to entertain you while you're sucking on your beard too?
Well, no, I actually, in that case, I do have root beer chapstick.
There you go.
I do, right there, man. I take care of myself. You know, I may live in the north with a bunch of rednecks, but man, I am someone who likes to be pampered.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
Even if you have to do it yourself, right?
You know what sucks in my town? Hard to find a good massage. Hard to find that.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They're out there, but they're always booked like 3-4 months.
You are in the middle of nowhere,
I
that's
know.
for sure.
Well, and that's true. And they're always like booked like 3-4 months in advance. I don't want to wait 3-4 months. You know, I'll wait a week or two, maybe 3. I don't want to wait 3-4 months.
You're like in that place where they dump the bodies.
Exactly.
I'm in the place where they get the bodies, you know?
Exactly. There's always an opening. There's always an opening. We got about 1 minute here. Hello to Lynn Soes. You're looking lovely tonight. And who else has joined us? Opa de Greco. How you doing? How's the souvlaki tonight? National Memorial. Good to see you. And you know, that's not a cultural thing. Greco actually owns his own Greek restaurant just outside of Toronto. So if we ever go there, we're going for dinner.
All right.
Yes. And the ouzo is on him. Vince Stir. Good to see you. Vince Stir. Vince Stir. I've changed it, man. I've totally changed it. Justin Goodearth, good to have you here, man. Thank you to Mandingo for the super chat. Really do appreciate that. All the way from New Zealand. Hey, Mandingo, if you don't mind, let us know if we're alive tomorrow. We need to know. You live in the future. It's already tomorrow where you are. It's not tomorrow here. So if let us know if we are alive tomorrow. We'd greatly appreciate that. Got to make sure, man. Got to make sure. You know? Ronnie, how are you? Good to see you. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with Ross Allison from A Ghost down in Seattle, Washington. Ross, welcome back.
It's always good to be back.
Politics in the ghost field. How does that even happen when there's no legible set of rules that anybody has to follow?
Well, the problem is the popularity. You know, anytime something becomes popular, everybody wants to get their hand in it. So I think there's a lot of it that really has pushed this is the media. You know, now, you know, when I started my group back in 2000, you didn't even have the inkling of having your own television show. That wasn't even something you could even consider. And now, you know, there's so many ghost hunting television shows. You find that a lot of people are in it for all the wrong reasons, you know, because they want their own television shows. They want their 15 minutes of fame. So that's where a lot of this becomes misleading.
Is it about that still?
It is
that television
definitely.
show?
Yeah, it is definitely, because you still see more and more coming out all the time. I get tons of emails from, producers, wanting to talk to me, wanting some ideas, wanting to interview me for possible being on their shows. And it's tough because, sometimes I'll listen to what they want to say and what they want to do, and it's all the same bullshit over and over and over again. It's like there's nobody that is wanting to do something different and challenging. Something that, is beyond just your basic, ooh, let's go into a haunted house and see what happens. It's frustrating. And I'm surprised that the audience themselves aren't bored with it. It's you got to be bored seeing the same thing over and over again.
It's the same show over and over. It doesn't matter the cast. It doesn't matter. We're going into haunted houses to prove whether or not they're haunted. And if the ghosts decide that night to show up, we're claiming it's not haunted.
I know. It's one of those things, I've learned in being in this field as long as I have. It's all about being at the right place at the right time. And you're not always guaranteed to have these amazing things that these television shows claim to capture. Most people would probably fall asleep on an investigation. It's that sitting around in the dark, waiting patiently for something to happen. And it doesn't always have to be in the dark either, but I know some people like to set the mood. But, it is frustrating, but due to the popular ghost hunting, it has opened a few more doors, but it has also made it very competitive in the field as well.
Mm-hmm. Have the amount of people, and I noticed this in the podcasting radio side of things. The younger people, they're just going to keep coming. They're going to keep, there's no end to it. It's much like the NFL out there. Like you may be the 35-year-old, 14-year vet, but there's a bunch of kids coming up who want your job. They'll do anything to take that job to make that money. Are we noticing that now in the ghost hunting field?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I have no problem passing the torch, as long as you're passing the torch to the right-minded people, the people that are in it for the right reasons, who really want to do the research, who want to get their hands dirty, and not be afraid of how they look on camera. It's, it is frustrating. It really is. And I know we could, and we're trying to put together a show on this, talking about the frustrations, but there's a lot of problems in the field, and I believe, and don't get me wrong, I believe there's a lot of good people in the field as well. It's just unfortunately it's hard to connect with those people, or find where they are, because you get lost amongst those who are more focused on the airtime that they get, or the subscribers they get, rather than those like me who I don't care. I'm not looking to get subscribers or any attention. I'm just looking to focus on the real research and share my research and findings so that those could be published, and then it's forever.
Who is teaching these younger ghost hunters coming up, though?
Media, the television shows. That's where most of these people are getting their education, are from these television shows.
But not everybody in television, I think we should be clear, not every ghost hunter in television land likes that feeling, though. Because Merle and I were talking with Mustafa Gadalari from Ghost Hunters the other day. He can't stand it. Can't stand it what ends up on the editing floor. But it's not his call. It's a network's call. So is it the networks, or is it the actual ghost hunters?
In some cases, it's both. Yes, granted, I've seen this for myself because I've been on enough of those shows that, when you sign those contracts, you're basically signing away your image and how they proceed to, enlighten you on their show. They could do whatever they want with the final footage. They can edit it in any way that they want. And there have been a lot of shows that have manipulated information just to tell the story they want to tell, rather than if it's not true or not. In fact, prime example of this is, and kind of leads into our next book coming out, Haunted Prisons. There was a prison that I was writing about that had this very famous story. It's been featured in tons of television shows and websites, and media has covered it over and over and over again. And, the story was, and I won't say which prison it is, you can read about it in the book, but, and I only say that just out of respect for the family. But the fact of the matter is, the story was that at one of these prisons, a warden's wife was shot and killed. And through the years, they had claimed that they started to claim that she was murdered by her husband, who was the warden. And so that started becoming the main story, that her ghost was haunting the warden's house because, she was murdered here and she has her story to tell, or her revenge, or, various different versions of the story. And of course, as a researcher, when you come across this story, and I started finding all these inconsistencies with the story, I wanted to find the root of it, and find out what actually did happen. And so I went down the rabbit hole. I was digging and digging. And sure enough, I came across, all these different versions of the story and all these different facts. But then I started to come across, newspaper articles that talked about what happened. And, that seems to be a little more legit. And of course, then I came across the death certificates. And I started putting, the pieces together. And I realized that this claim of this murder didn't happen. The story was that, she was getting ready for church, and she had gone into the closet to get to her jewelry box, and her husband had his gun next to her jewelry box. And she reached for the gun to move it away, but she was surprised about how heavy it was and accidentally dropped the gun. And when it hit the ground, the gun went off. And of course, the bullet went through her. And so to validate this was the fact that I had the death certificate, which talked about exactly how she died, the path of the bullet. And so I submitted that information to a few people that actually are in the medical field. And I say, can you draw me up a diagram? Because I'm not in the medical field, so I couldn't tell you exactly by, the scientific terms of the path of where it went through the body, of actually the visual, to have a visual path of it. So, sure enough, I had, like, three different sources come back to me, and they drew me a diagram of the exact path of this bullet. And I was like, that was proof to me, because what that path was is the bullet went in through her lower side of her torso and came out her upper shoulder. So a diagonal path going up through her body. So for her husband to have shot and killed her, he would have had to have been lying on the ground to do that. Then, to top it off, I found out through the case report that her oldest son was home at the time, heard what happened, and heard his mother call after it happened. And he was just across the hall, and he was the first one there to assist her. So then she died a couple days later in the hospital. Now, I don't know if she was conscious or not, but I think if she had been conscious, she would have said, "Oh, my husband did it." So this all stems to the fact that what happened was a psychic, who we have no idea who, most likely made the claim that, oh, this was not an accident, this was her husband that did it. And that's what started this whole ball rolling. And what made this a trying story to write was the fact that, again, a lot of these, big shows, media had covered this story and told that story, that she was murdered by her husband. And it made me so frustrated. I was on the phone with David. I was like, David, we got to put an end to the story. And he agreed with me. There was no issue about that. And what made it a little more challenging is the fact that, the family, we do know that the youngest son is still alive, you know? And so, to have a story going out there publicly that claims that your father killed your mother, which is not true, is horrific. But that's not the only case. With writing these books, the series, The Haunted, we found so many cases like that, where a lot of these stories have been altered to be more scary or more supportive of a possible haunting, rather than the true facts of what have actually happened there. And that's one of the reasons why I write these books, is because if I have the opportunity to debunk some of these stories, I will do it.
You are doing it because you care. Okay, you are doing it. You're trying to find that factual information to try and make a difference. But the difference between what you are doing and the weekend warrior who is claiming to be the best ghost hunter in British Columbia or the best ghost hunter in Washington State, there's always one of them. They are more about being territorial. They are more about going to locations, saying, well, you have to sign this contract about nobody else is allowed to investigate here but us. There's a lot of that when we talk about the politics that are going on right now.
Now, when you're dealing with an illness, they always suggest that you should always get a second opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that. If one doctor says, you have 6 months to live, another doctor could say you may have a couple years to live. It's one of those things that I always find that it's more useful to have a second opinion, because you don't know the education or training behind the first opinion. And I'm not saying, again, I'm not trying to say that there's all a bunch of, bad ghost hunters out there. It's a lot of bad training out there. And so to have a group go in there and state their claim to a location, and some of these, businesses don't even know, how credible this group is, or, if this is even the right thing to do. You have a lot of these groups that just basically are, again, just trying to hoard places to themselves. Um, and it's horrible because I've even had the opportunity to try and get into some of these places and have been shut out because other groups have, claimed it as their territory. And I try to talk to the client and I say, oh, I'm not trying to disturb what they're trying to do for you, but it would just be nice to see if we can validate what they claim. Because if you go into a place and one team, and this is a prime example of this, the Seattle Underground.
Mm-hmm.
I've investigated that place a number of times because it's right in my backyard. And during one of our investigations, we captured an EVP where we had asked, "Can you tell us your name?" And we get a clear Class A EVP where it says Edward. That's great. Now we had that information. Now this is many, many years ago, so we weren't able to make all this evidence public. But if anybody ever reached out to us, we'd be more than happy to share it with them. So years later go by, and of course, other teams have investigated the sea underground as well. I have no problem with that. But this one team, comes in and they are in the same exact spot where we captured that EVP, and they asked the same exact question: "What is your name?" And they got the response, "Eddie." So where we walked away with an EVP that said Edward, and they walked away with an EVP that says Eddie, that just now made both of our investigations more credible because we have a very similar EVP, the same style, the same voice pattern, and pretty much the same name.
Mm-hmm.
So all we're doing by sharing locations and sharing our evidence is we're helping to build credibility for the location itself and for how we're capturing the evidence.
And I understand that and I can appreciate it, but what would be the purpose of a ghost team shutting down a location by getting, say, a museum or a park or a restaurant to sign an exclusivity contract?
Well, for one, it's ego. This is my place. You can't come here. But another thing too, and I can understand some of this, is some of these places are so well known that they've had numerous groups, ghost hunting teams come in and investigate, and a lot of times they have bad experiences with a lot of these groups. So it gets to the point where some of these places are like, "I've had enough. I don't want to deal with all these different groups coming in and investigating the spot." So some of it does come from the owners themselves saying, "You know what? I like you guys. You've come in, a few times. I think I'm just going to trust you guys to do our investigations." So that does happen as well. But some of it does come from groups not wanting other groups to come into their space and, collecting their evidence.
Have you had a lot of businesses approach you and say, "Look, Ross, I don't want Dave and his group to come on in. They made a mess the last time, or they broke some glasses, or whatever the story may be."
Oh yeah, there's been plenty of times where I've had clients contact us because they had a group come in, and the group pretty much scared the hell out of them because they had them convinced that everything happening in their home was demons, almost to the point where they were about ready to pack their shit and move out.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I want to go on, with the actual what's happening here rather than hearsay. But of course, they're on the ledge, about ready to jump. So I got to go in, talk them off the ledge, and bring them back to reality and say, "I'm sorry, just because you're hearing knocking or even the three knocks, it does not mean it's a demon."
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I was even able to debunk a lot of these, previous groups' claims
Well,
and walk these
yeah.
clients through that and say, "This is what's happening. This is not paranormal."
Well, you've been to the
And
museum up here. where I was doing my tours, there's nothing demonic about that. And
Yeah.
yet there are people in this town, including somebody who used to be a part of the tour, who you met, who are claiming demons left, right, and center.
And that's unfortunate. For me, I can believe that yes, there is good energy, positive energy, and there is negative energy as well. And let's say mean energy. But I'm not one to label every time you have a negative experience to being a demon, because if you're truly trying to be scientific in your research, you can't be biased. And by bringing the terminology demon into your research, you're already bringing religion into your research. And I've always said we have to go with what we know and not with what we think we know in this field. And there's so many different theories and ideas when it comes to the paranormal that we can't just keep throwing those out there and saying, yes, that's the answer to everything that's happening in this location. I got scratched. Oh, it must be a demon. No, it does not mean it's a demon. Could be something just like, I don't want you in my space. You're too close to me. How many, we've all gone through our lives knowing somebody who's a real jerk in our lives, somebody we just don't want to be around because they're so negative. And
No,
who's to say that when they pass on, that energy doesn't remain as well?
very true. Very, very true in regards to that. So as we got about 2.5 minutes here before we have to go to break at the top of the hour, with this political side of trying to shut down locations, trying to shut down areas and other teams, and it's, maybe 50-50 ego versus, businesses who don't want a lot of different teams coming on in there. I mean, is this new to the paranormal, these contracts, or has this been going on a long time?
It's been going on a long time. Ever since the television shows started up and a lot of these, publicized haunted locations started becoming more and more popular, um, that's when it all started. People wanted to make their claims in the paranormal field. State their claims. Here's my paranormal flag. This is mine. So that all started, back. I have to say, back in 2005 is when it really started, because Ghost Hunters, granted, they launched a lot of this when they started aired in 2004. Um, by 2005, due to the popularity of that show, because look, right after that, the other networks had to have their ghost hunting show. That's when Ghost Adventures came around. It was right after Ghost Hunters because of the popularity of that. So that's when, again, that's once people start to see something become successful or something getting a lot of attention, everybody wants to stake their claim to it.
Mm-hmm.
Ride the wave. We're all in that wave, I tell you.
Well, when we come back, I want to get into locations and the haunted series, because you've done a lot of writing with David Weatherly, who unfortunately can't make it tonight due to his own filming schedule. But I want to talk about the haunted series because you guys have done really cool books on this, man. Really, from toys to churches to now jails and all other subjects. I think it's just absolutely fantastic that you guys have taken the time to do this. And I want to discuss that, but I also want to talk about locations too. Are we being crafty enough? Let's use the word crafty enough to find new locations. Because I'm sick and tired as a show host of hearing the same locations over and over and over. I'll tell you, I'm pretty much going to put a ban on Waverly Hills pretty damn soon. Pretty damn soon. Ross,
I hear you. I hear you.
Ross, you hold on, my friend. Ross Allison is here, good friends with David Weatherly. They've tag teamed on a brand new book coming out here very, very soon called Haunted Jails. It's part of their Haunted series. And if you haven't seen their Haunted series or read it, you are missing out. Missing out. I love the haunted toys. That's probably my favorite of them all. And haunted dolls, too. Haunted dolls. Love that one. Ross Allison with A Ghost down in Seattle, Washington. We'll be back with us momentarily on Spaced Out Radio. All right, man, we're clear. I'm just going to run Doug and Shadow out. I'll be right back.
Hey, real quick, just to correct you, it's haunted prisons.
Prisons, sorry.
That's all right. No big deal.
All right. Well, you said shit twice, and now I got to edit that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know I couldn't say that. Sorry.
You know this is radio, man. I got to edit that. I'll be right back, brother.
All right. Sorry.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is Watching.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking...
I'm back. I'm doing the back thing. Yeah. Oh. Gotta trim the mustache. It's getting into my mouth. Hate that.
Oh, I hate that.
Hate that.
That's the one thing I can't stand as a mustache. I usually keep it trimmed really, really short just to go with the beard. But yeah, once it starts getting in your mouth, it drives me crazy, especially in the corners. I'm like, ugh.
I know the feeling. We got about just over 1 minute left. 1 minute.
Well, I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize S word was a bad word.
Yeah, unfortunately, due to the FCC and the CRTC, it still is. That's all right. I don't mind.
Because now on TV, people could say the B word, and that's like, never thought of that as a bad word now.
Yeah, well.
So I'll keep it PG.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just tend to cuss a little bit when I'm very passionate about something.
I write it all down, man, knowing where I have to edit. I time it out. Awesome. Hey, Jose, how you doing, man? All right, we got 25 seconds. Thank you, Mandingo, for the awesome super chat supporting Spaced Out Radio. Thank you to everybody who's given us a thumbs up. If you're new, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. Hey, gorgeous cat chaser, how you doing? Good to see you this week. First time here this week for you. I always like it when you're here. All right, 5 seconds. Here we go with Ross Allison.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune us on in, especially those listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free for you by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Galanti. Galanti is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our good friend Ross Allison is here talking ghosts, paranormal, everything under the sun when it comes to writing ghost books, as he's got a new one coming out, make that Haunted Prisons, very, very shortly, a couple weeks, with him and David Weatherly. I got to ask you, tell our audience, Ross, about the Haunted series. Why did you guys do this?
Well, we did the Haunted series because David had reached out to me. He was in the Seattle area doing some research, and he had actually taken my tour. And he just loved the way I was doing my tours, and he ended up buying my book, Spooked in Seattle. And apparently after he read my book, he really enjoyed my writing, so he reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to work on something together? And I said, sure, I'd be honored to. And of course, Christmas was coming up, and so I thought it would be a really good idea to maybe do a Haunted Toys book, like a little stocking stuffer. And we did Haunted Toys, and that was very successful. And so we kind of realized, well, maybe we should do a series. And so we started with Haunted Toys, and we did Haunted Ships and Lighthouses, and of course, Haunted Churches, Haunted Historic Hotels, Haunted Prisons. So we got a whole list of what we're going to be working on. But a lot of it, too, also stemmed off the fact that one of the reasons why I write is because somebody had told me, and it really stuck with me, that once it's published, it's forever. And I started to realize, being in the field for a while, that a lot of these ghost hunting groups had an average life expectancy of about 3 years. Most people give up after a while. And some of these teams, were getting into some great places and having some really interesting experiences, and even collected some good evidence. And then once the group had disbanded, the evidence and the stories were gone. And I just felt that we were losing out on that. And so I felt it was really important to get those stories out there so that even after my lifetime, that people can still go back and look at my books and still hear the stories of what we experienced at these places, you know, when we were there. And then after starting to do a lot of this research, we started to find out that a lot of these stories, some of these stories weren't true. And so I felt obligated that, we needed to have the opportunity to debunk some of these stories as well. And so a lot of that just all came together. And I think that's one of the things that makes our series so successful is because we have no problem being open and honest with our readers. It's great to tell a spooky ghost story, but I find that it's more scarier if you can tell the true story. And I think that is one of the things that our readers like is that, if they're going to get ready to investigate some of these places, even Waverly Hills, that if they can hear the true history and hear some more credible experiences and more credible evidence, that they'll have a stronger base when going into these places and investigating. Because one of the other things that I really want to push is if you're truly a paranormal investigator, you need the true raw data to base your research off of. And if there's far too many fake stories and fake evidence, all that does is just muddy up the water and make our research much harder because we have to shift through all that crap before we get to the real evidence.
Okay, so when you are choosing a topic for the haunted series, and granted it's a series that could go anywhere, you guys could write hundreds of books over the next couple decades over this topic. Where do you get the ideas from?
Well, it's just me and David, sitting down and talking and trying to figure out what our goal is. Yeah, we want to include, some of the highlighted places that, most people know are haunted because that does bring in a few of the readers. But we also want to get some of the locations that people haven't heard about, some of those new locations, because those are just as important. Just because they don't get a lot of media attention does not mean they're not as haunted as, Waverly Hills or any other haunted place out there that's gotten a few television shows inside. So I think it's also important that we cover some of those unique places and some more up-to-date stories, because if anybody out there who's a ghost lover or loves the paranormal or haunted places, you'll find that if you look up some of these places, it's the same story, copy and pasted over and over and over again, especially all over the internet. And so and half of those stories aren't even true. And so that's, frustrating for somebody, like me who's, into the research and wants to validate some of these claims. It is frustrating when you find out that half of the claims that they make about some of these places aren't true. So, it's a lot of that stuff that I think that makes this series unique. The unique places, let alone some of the highlighted places, the unique stories, let alone the common stories, and then just having the opportunity to put an end to, bad stories and fake media.
Okay, so part of my problem is as a host, and I'm somebody who is obviously not in the paranormal field directly. I kind of skirt around every topic of the phenomena that is out there because we kind of touch on everything. But every summer, man, I'm sick and tired of my Facebook. Waverly Hills, Gettysburg. Waverly Hills, Gettysburg. Not that the
Yes.
two places don't deserve the location, and I realize that those are the meccas in North America. Those are the Disneylands of the paranormal, and I get that, and I can appreciate it. There's people out there that like I'm a big time Disneyland fan. And there are people out there when I look at them strange when they say, "Yeah, I know I don't want to go to Disneyland. I have no reason to go to Disneyland. I hate Disneyland," or for whatever reason. It's okay, But for me, I just look at it that we're doing in the paranormal the same things over and over and over, and it's nauseating.
It is.
I want to see, like I was saying to Mustafa Gadalari a couple weeks ago, I want to see somebody hop on a bus like that old MTV show where they hopped on in a motorhome and they drove all over to all these small towns trying to find the strange things of that little town to do. And I want to see that with ghost hunting, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of these small towns off the beaten path have the most amazing paranormal, supernatural stories that we've ever heard, and nobody is creative enough to even try that, Ross.
Well, it's not that they haven't tried that. The problem is what's going to draw in the audience. People like to hear the more dramatic stories. So and so was murdered here, or somebody famous stayed here, and that's always my favorite too. Elvis Presley stayed a couple nights here. Now we think he's haunting the place. It's frustrating, but I think a lot of that comes from what they believe the audience wants to hear and see. A lot of media doesn't want to take the chance on an unknown. Even for casting these shows, they're looking for people that have some sort of background in at least media or the paranormal. So when it comes to a lot of these, small town ghosts, sometimes the stories aren't exciting enough. It might just be a very haunted place because, somebody's grandmother died there and she refuses to leave, but she's throwing, stuff around the house and, leaving messages and blood on the wall. That stuff very well, could be happening, but they want to find, those stories where, well, was she murdered there? No. Did she kill people? No. She was just a nice old lady,
No, but
So
give an example. There's a lot of these smaller mountainous communities that were wiped out by rock slides or landslides, and the communities are buried with, tens up to hundreds of people underneath these rocks. Nobody goes on those rocks.
Well, and see, that's where it becomes our responsibility as paranormal investigators. We have to get out there, investigate, be willing to investigate these places, and publish what we find. The publishing is the biggest part in getting some of these small town locations the attention that they may deserve. And that's the thing, is some of these groups go in and they don't have the incredible experience, and they don't publish these locations because it was boring to them. Well, did they give it a fair chance? Most times, no. Because a lot of groups go into one place, they'll do it for a 4-hour, 5-hour investigation, expect something exciting to happen. If it doesn't happen, they're done with the place. They move on to the next exciting place. Well, one of the things you have to learn about the paranormal field is you have to return. Sometimes you have to go back, 3 or 4 times before you'll have something exciting happen to validate that this place is haunted. And again, that all comes from the illusion that media gives people of what ghost hunting is really like. Because when they see the television shows, they see all the exciting stuff happen within a half hour or an hour. And it doesn't happen that way.
You mean you don't
so that's why those places get a lot of attention.
You mean you don't like the scene in the last 10 minutes where they're all sitting side by side at a table with headphones on? Oh, that was the worst. That was the worst.
I tell you.
But no, I understand with what you're saying, but the creativity, to me, every small town has a legend. Every small town has their own lore, their own haunting. Like that's the monster of the Green Hills up there, where back in 1942, 4 kids were killed out camping. That's the stuff I want. Those are the stories.
And that's the stuff people love to hear. But again, you got to get those stories published so that they can get the attention they deserve.
True.
So getting it in a book would be great. That's why, me and David do our books, because when we come across stories like that, we're more than happy to write your story.
Mm-hmm.
We're more than happy to say, yes, this is a place that deserves some attention. But
very
again,
true.
you got to get word out if you want these places to get the attention they deserve. And
that makes
and
sense.
Sometimes it's more work than people are willing to do. Writing a book's not easy.
Tell me about it.
That's a big challenge. A lot of people, you don't know how many people I run into saying, "Oh, I'm going to write a book," and they never do it.
I have too.
And it's just one of those things that it really does take a certain mindset and devotion and patience to really devote yourself to that project.
Tell us a ghost story, because I know you got quite a few. Outside of Mr. Creepy, which you've told on this story before, on this show before. But tell us a ghost story that really, really affected you, maybe emotionally. Everybody wants to hear that scary story, but have you ever had a case, Ross, where it affected you emotionally, like just maybe turn the taps on to the tears?
There is one story, and this just rings true to how with the paranormal being at the right place at the right time. I've been all over the world. I've done well over 600-700 cases, and to be honest with you, there's probably maybe a handful of stories that I could tell you that are chilling, that gave me the chills. But there is this one story that really affected me, and I wish David was here because he was there to witness it. We were doing an investigation at the Bel Air house in Bel Air, Ohio, and this is a place that has some media attention. A few shows have gone out there and investigated it. Now, I was, to be honest with you, because I don't watch the television shows, I was unaware of this location, so it had not come across my radar. And so SOS was hosting a paranormal conference, and I was being featured as a guest speaker. So I flew out a little early, and so I was to meet up with David and Dave Spinks on this event. And of course, I was the first to arrive. So they had somebody pick me up at the airport, and she drove me to the house and dropped me off and left me there. So I'm alone at this house. Again, I'm not familiar with the paranormal history, but I'm just sitting there waiting for, David and Dave to show up, because Dave was picking him up from David at the airport to bring him to the house. So I'm alone in the house, it's just quiet, empty house. I even did a live feed, and nothing, exciting happened. So what happens is Dave actually was having car trouble. His tire was running flat every 30 miles. So he had to stop every 30 miles and fill up his tire. And so this was taking him all night. Poor David is stuck at the airport waiting hours upon hours for Dave to show up. So, finally he gets there, and we go through the whole weekend. We didn't stay at the Bel Air house for the full weekend because they opened it up for ghost hunters to stay for the weekend, and we went off somewhere else. And then we ended up having a little getaway after the conference. Now, during this time, I'm learning about this place. I'm learning more about the horrific physical attacks on people that this place has had. One story where somebody was almost pushed out the second story window. This one room where this woman was, physically, I hate to say it, raped in this room by some entity in this place. So all these stories about this place are just coming to me, throughout the weekend. So we finally, finished our trip, and we had one extra day. So we decided we're going to spend our last day back at the Bel Air house. Now, the house was shut down for the day. It was a hot day. So the owner of the house said, yeah, you guys can stay there, no problem. I just don't have time to go out there, open up the windows and air it out for you guys. And we said, sure, no problem. So, and I'm sorry this is running into a longer story.
Oh,
but
that's fine. We got time for it.
So anyways, we get to the house, and of course, these guys like to do solo investigations. That's not usually how I investigate. I like to at least have one other team member for safety reasons and for credibility reasons too, if something happens. But they like to do solo things, but they also will put a camera on you. So that's fine, as long as the camera's there to witness anything. So they decide they're going to put me in what they call the rape room alone. Okay, so now I get into the room, and the room is hot. I mean, I am sweating like crazy. And so immediately, for the first time in my career, I'm uncomfortable being in this room. And I'm trying to figure it out in my head. Is it just because I'm alone in the room? Is it because I'm already front loaded with all the stories that have happened in this room? And I can't figure it out why I am so off on this room. And I don't want to be in this room. And I'm trying to, pump up my chest, and say, be a man, Ross, you can do this. I don't want to let these guys know how uncomfortable I am being in this room, but I'm going to do this. I'm pushing my way through this. And I'm just doing a little EVP session, in the room, talking to whatever's there. I'm trying to say, I'm not here to disrespect you. I'm just here if you want to talk, talk. And I got to the point where I said, well, if you are here with me, can you give me a sign? And shortly after I asked that question, the thermal camera flew off the tripod into the air. And this is where they have proof that I did scream. But it was a very manly scream, just so you know. Okay?
Sure it was.
That primal scream, But anyway, so yeah, I was like, this totally put my nerves on end. I was like, oh my God. And they heard me scream. And so they ran upstairs to check and see what happened. And of course, I told them the camera flew off the tripod. So, Dave's fixing the camera and he's like, I don't know how that happened. And it's just like, okay, this is, a little crazy for me. But then, as they fix the camera, he's like, do you want to stay for a few more minutes? And I'm just like, yeah, this is interesting. I'm intrigued, but yet I can't shake that feeling of I don't want to be here. I need to get out of this room. And, I'm envisioning myself, my imagination's taking over because I'm thinking, because again, somebody was almost pushed out the second story window. I'm, by a window on the second floor, So they leave, and I think I'm hearing them go out the front door, leaving me completely alone in the house. So for me, again, I'm all about safety. So I start to yell out, hey guys, just to make sure that if something happens to me physically, that they could be right up there and help me. So I'm yelling for the guys, no response. I'm yelling louder and louder. I'm thinking, yeah, they're outside, they can't hear me. So I'm literally, screaming at the top of my lungs, hey guys, just so that they can hear me. Nothing. So I pull out my phone. I switch off air mode and I, text, David. And right after I text David, I hear him yell from downstairs, are you okay? And I'm like, I just want to make sure you guys are here to help me if something happens. And so, David comes up and he checks on me. He's like, are you going to be all right? And I'm like, and again, I expressed, just the safety reasons. He's like, we're just right downstairs. And I said, well, why didn't you guys hear me yelling? He's like, we didn't hear anything. I've been screaming at the top of my voice for you guys.
No way.
And they couldn't hear anything. And they were just downstairs.
Hold that story. We're going to continue this when we come back. We are going to get some audience questions as well. Ross Allison, paranormal investigator extraordinaire out of Seattle, Washington, joins us from A Ghost. What happened in the Belair house to Ross? The good news is his top hat was not injured during the haunting. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio coming up right after this. All right, bro, we're clear.
Sorry, I should have forewarned you. It's a
No, that's a good story. That's a good story. We got to continue it.
It gets more interesting, definitely.
Hi, veteran Surf Jer. We love our veterans around here, man. Thank you for your service. And Chris Jarvis, that's a weird looking picture that you changed to. Just letting you know. Big Fat Creep, good to see you. Aaron, good to have you here, man. Oh, Merle finally messaged me back.
It's fine. We don't need him now.
Ross and I wanted you to join us on SOR tonight, but you had better things to do. See how long it takes him. He's one of these guys who responds and then takes like 20 minutes to respond back.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Oh, no, he looked. He looked. Oh, let's see what the response is going to be.
What a loser.
Yeah, Merle. Merle. I'm too good for you guys, Merle. People knew how nice of a guy he really is, eh?
Oh, no, he's a great guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's been wanting so hard to come down to, to Washington and do some stuff with us. And it's just like, I'd love to go to Canada and do stuff with you guys. The whole border thing just sucks, man.
He's got a migraine tonight.
It's fine. That's what she said.
Wish I was able to. Ross says that's what she said, too. Oh, poor Merle. We give him a hard time, but he's a great dude, man.
He is.
He is a great dude. Hey, Gary the Dutchman, you're Dutch. Just wanted to remind you. Brian Deck, welcome. Randy Spurl, thank you for joining us. The gorgeous Shelley Michelle Morrison has returned. Let's see here. Oh, there's Dazzling Dolly. She's arrived. Dazzling Dolly.
Got a lot of people in the chat.
Oh, yeah. There's 102.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hope they're enjoying the show.
Yep. Oh, Mr. Cowley. Welcome back to the show. Oh, Mr. Cowley loves his spaced out radio. Yeah, that's all I got.
See, that's why they love you. You give them all personal attention. That's awesome.
Kirk Seltzer, good to see you. You know why? And this is God's honest truth. The fact that anybody would take the time to spend with me is pretty damn cool, man. Like, you know what? It goes above money. It goes above promotion. It goes above anything. The fact that these great people take the time to be with me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty cool, man. Like, you can ask anybody for anything. Like, I can ask you to borrow your top hat or mow my lawn because I'm on vacation or whatever. But when you ask someone, when someone gives you their time, knowing how finite time is on this planet, that's pretty huge, man. That they want to spend 10 minutes, half an hour, 3 hours a night with you.
But it's you, man. You got the personality. You got the voice. You got that sexy radio voice.
Oh, stop it.
People just want to close their eyes and listen to you.
Yes. You know what happens? I put people to sleep. That's what I do. That's what I do. No, man. It's cool that, like I look at these people and I look at, we're close to getting up to 11,000 subscribers on YouTube, and the thousands out there who haven't subscribed but still, pay attention. Dude, that is cool, man. That is really cool that anybody takes the time to actually tune in.
Yeah, but you reward them by acknowledging them. Wait till you get to about 1,000 people in that chat room. Your whole show's going to be acknowledging everybody. That's going to be your show.
The other
acknowledging everybody listening to you.
True. Hold on, brother. Here we go. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Dave Scott here on Spaced Out Radio, wearing a toque, not a beanie, a toque. Our Canadian listeners will get that. The American listeners will be like, what the hell? What's going on there? Hey, I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Ross Allison from A Ghost in Seattle, talking paranormal all night long. Dude, this story you're telling us, you're caught in this room, you're screaming. David Spinks and David Weatherly cannot hear you from the floor below that you are screaming. How does that happen?
We don't know. I have never experienced this before in my career of ghost hunting. So as I said, I was screaming for attention. David finally comes up, he checks on me, makes sure I'm okay. And I just told him, I said, I want to make sure that if something's going to happen to me, because again, this place has this report of physical activity, trying to push people out the window, physically attacking people. I'm concerned more for my safety. So, I just tell him, I just want to make sure you guys are there for me if I need your help. And he's like, we're just right downstairs. So he's like, are you going to be okay? And and again, I'm concerned, like I was screaming for them, they didn't hear me. So it's all just getting really weird. So I say, yeah, I think I could probably do a couple more minutes. And so he leaves the room. And when he gets in the hallway, I hear this loud bang. It almost sounded like he fell. And so I was like, are you okay? And I can even hear Dave Spinks, who's still downstairs, yell up the stairs, what was that? So we're both yelling out into the hallway where David is. And he's like, what? What was what? And we're like, what was that loud noise? And he's like, I didn't hear anything. So at that point, I'm just like, you know what? I think I need a break. So I'm, and again, I'm sweating bullets. This room is boiling hot. And so I, decide I'm going to go step outside and cool off. Now, when I step out of the room and I go outside, Dave decides he's going to, do his EVP session in the room. And so I'm outside, I'm standing at the carport, and I can actually hear David in the room cussing out whatever's there in the room. Because that morning, when we were getting ready to leave, actually it wasn't that morning, it was a few mornings earlier, when we were staying at the house, the first time we stayed at the house. Remember, he was having that car trouble with his tire. So he had made a car appointment, and so he was filling up his tire as he was getting ready to take the car to the shop to get it fixed, to get the tire fixed. And so he had his car, jacked up, was fixing the tire, trying to fix the tire. And he had left his car, in park, and he had come out while the air pump was filling up his tire. Now, I happened to walk into the living room area, and I look out the window and I see his car slowly backing out of the driveway. Somebody's stealing his car, and he's got a nice, black hot rod, okay? And when he's left the car door open, I thinking somebody might take advantage of it, We're not in the best of neighborhoods. So I yell out to Dave, I'm like, your car. And he pushes me out of the way, running out there, and we watch his car slowly back out of the driveway and into a tree. Now, he claims the brakes were on. He doesn't understand why this happened, how this happened. But when we finally return to the house, and he's doing his EVP session in the room, he's blaming the ghost for this. And so he starts yelling, cussing out whatever's in that room. And I can hear him. I'm standing outside. I'm doing a live feed, talking about my experience I just had in that room. And I can hear him, doing his thing in the room. And I'm on the live feed for a good, 10 minutes. And he stopped for a while. And I'm still, doing my live feed. I haven't moved. I'm standing outside there. And after about, 10 minutes, David comes around the porch. And he goes, "Oh, there you are." And I'm like, "Yeah, here I am. I've been here the whole time." And he's like, "You couldn't hear Dave screaming for you? He's been looking for you throughout the house." And I was like, "I didn't hear anything." And everybody on the live feed is watching this, and they're like, "Yeah, we didn't hear anything either." They're validating that we didn't hear anything. And Dave comes around the corner. He's like, "I've been yelling. I even stepped outside to yell for you. I didn't know where you were. For some strange reason, I was concerned about you." And I'm like, "I was here the whole time, and I didn't hear anything." So we decide, we're going to investigate together because things are getting really weird with this house. And we're all downstairs at the bottom of the staircase. We're doing an EVP session. Things are going off. Things are weird, getting weird readings with the equipment. And all of a sudden we hear a loud noise again up in that hallway. That same noise that we heard when David was in the hallway that he claimed he didn't hear. So David goes up to investigate. And he gets to the top of the stairs, and all of a sudden we hear him yell. So sure enough, I'm the next one running up there to help him, whatever is going on, finding out what's happening. So I run right up the stairs. Dave's right behind me. And we get there, and David's standing in the hallway, and he's like, "You wouldn't believe what I just saw." And he points to the room that I was staying in, and he says, "I just saw you running from this room charging at me."
You.
Me. He saw me charging at him from that room I was staying at.
Wow.
Yeah. Right after he says that, Dave screams from behind me. And I turn around, and he swears he saw some dark figure running towards him. So at that point, I just had enough. I had to step out of the house. That was just an overload of crazy things happening in one night.
Now, that house is in Indiana?
Ohio.
Ohio.
Valero,
Ohio. Yeah, because I know Dave Spinks. It's like, "Dude, you got to come here, man. Got to come here. I'll take you for a tour." And I'm like, "Yeah, man. Yeah, COVID."
And it's funny. This is just proof about being at the right place at the right time, because I've been to that house probably 3 other times, and nothing like that. And so yeah, that is the most intense investigation I had ever done. And I still, to this day, I can't explain that feeling. That fight or flight feeling was just overwhelming.
I recall having that feeling in the big barn at the museum up here when our good friend up on the catwalk was a little angry. I recall having that feeling. And it's not fun when you're put in that situation, whether you're there to investigate it or whether you're just there to be innocent to it all.
Right.
Like that night when I got attacked by him, and we had 2 other people attacked that night by him, that was real. That was very, very real. And I think a lot of the public out there doesn't know how real that this phenomena can be and how dangerous it could be, Ross.
I know. But again, it stems from the fact that, too, people are misled on the idea of a paranormal investigation. Yes, crazy stuff can happen, but does it happen all the time? No. Like I said, I've been to that place, about 3 other times before that experience. And I even went back afterwards. And I was not able to repeat that same experience. And David Weatherly can validate. He's investigated with me numbers of times. We've traveled all over doing investigations, and he has never seen me behave like that. So it was just a weird experience for me. I can't explain it. I don't have all the answers. It's more intriguing. And yes, I would go back. I'd go back in a heartbeat. But would I want to be alone in that room again? Probably not.
Do you think that was the catalyst, that you were alone in there?
I don't know if that had to do with it. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's the fact that I was alone, because usually I don't allow people to be alone on an investigation. And I don't know if it was just the fact that I was, front loaded, or was it truly my own built-in senses telling me I shouldn't be here?
That is so weird, man.
Mm-hmm.
So weird. Ross Allison is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Ross, as you kind of, try and figure out the phenomena, after a case like this, what are you writing down? What are you detailing about what happened?
Well, as much detail. I'm journaling. In fact, I journaled that whole thing because I want to validate that experience. And by having 2 other credible witnesses to validate, what they experience as well, and then sometimes, having the equipment, and luckily he has the video of the thermal camera flying off the tripod, and all that does is just validate that this did happen. We're not making this up to tell you guys a scary ghost story. All this was documented. And all I try to do is document these experiences as best as I can and with as much data as I can. Because I've always said there's nothing wrong with too much data. The more data you have to validate your experience, the more credible it becomes. So the best thing that you can do is, when you have these experiences, try to record it in so many different ways that you can, so it doesn't get lost, because human error is the biggest problem we have in this field. The human memory is the biggest problem we have in this field. We can easily forget details within, 3 minutes.
Question coming from Princess Denali. Do you physically or psychically protect yourself and your crew before you go into these places? If so, what is your process of protection?
I don't claim to be a psychic or sensitive. I think for me, my best protection has been being respectful to the property. I'm not there to taunt whatever's there, to try and, tick it off to get some sort of response. I find that throughout all my years of doing this, that my best protection has just been open about my purpose and stating it out loud. Whenever I do an EVP session, I always let them know I'm not here to disrespect you. I am just here to help you communicate if you want to. And I think being open and honest with whatever's there, communicating with whatever's there, has protected me because I try to be respectful towards the people's vast beliefs when it comes to religions. There's so many different religions. I want to be respectful towards everybody. Everybody has a right to believe in whatever they want to believe. And I also tell you, if you have a personal belief, do whatever you need to do to protect yourself, because we are going into the unknown. I'm not a religious person. I'm more spiritual than anything. But I think at least being open and honest and letting whatever's there's know my purpose of being there, then I'm not putting myself in a situation where it's going to be like mad at me, wanting to come after me. And I've always, told people, if you want to wear a crucifix, wear a crucifix. That's fine. It's again, it's a situation where we don't have enough information, and it all goes back to, if I'm trying to be scientific in my research, I can't be biased in any way. I have to go with the facts. And so that's one of the reasons why I don't lead with religion. So, but I think just being open and honest and communicating is, for me, has been the best protection. I'm not going to, stir anybody away from how they choose to protect themselves. That's great. You do what you need to do.
Commonwealth Andrew from the United Kingdom. He is asking what you know about the history and what is happening with the Ghosts Army over in the UK. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not. What's going on with that?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
I don't. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. That's right. Andrew, fill us in the chat room, and then I'll pass that on to Ross, if you don't mind. Mandingo, all the way from New Zealand, is asking.
Awesome. I want to go to New Zealand so bad.
Me too. Thylacine. I want to see the thylacine. New Zealand, Australia, Tasmania. That thing is there. I believe it's still there, man. He is asking, Ross, have you and your team ever considered joining or collaborating with the United Kingdom's longest running ghost hunting team, Most Haunted?
I actually, back in the day, I was actually asked to be on Most Haunted. They were filming in Washington, believe it or not. And I actually was scheduled to do a lecture that day, so I couldn't do it. I don't know whatever came of that, but I remember that happening a long time ago. Again, it's one of those things. I've had the opportunity to work with the Ghost Club, which is one of the oldest ghost hunting groups in the world. I've actually been out there a few times lecturing and doing an investigation with them, but I have not worked with the Most Haunted crew.
Do you want to get back into TV somehow?
I would do TV if it was the right project. If I had control over the situation, I would not sign my life away. And that's one of the reasons why I've turned down a few projects, because, they want you to look the other way if they decide to alter the story or alter the evidence. And I've worked too hard to build my credibility to have a show come in, and a show could easily destroy it within one episode. So you really do have to be careful of what you're getting ready to sign your life away for. So I'd be willing to do it for the right project, and if I had some sort of control over the situation. So yes, because again, and this is the funny thing too, is when I started ghost hunting, again, like I said, you never even had the inkling of having a television series. It was basically, you might have a book. You were considered the credible ghost hunter if you had a book. Now anybody can write a book. Now it's like you're the credible ghost hunter if you have a television show. That's the next step. If you can get a television show, you must be the top ghost hunter. And we know that's not true. It's all casting calls and personalities who get the shows. So if it's an opportunity, and this is one of the reasons why I've done some of these shows, is that it gives me an opportunity to share my evidence, to share my experiences. And if I can land a show that allows me to help educate the public, steer them in a better direction when it comes to the paranormal, sure, I'd be open to it.
Mandingo says that if we go to New Zealand, he's opening up his door to us, putting us up for room and board.
Hey, I'm all for it. As soon as we can travel again, I'd probably take him up on that.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little less trusting than you are, because this guy likes breakfast foods for dinner. And
hey, I like breakfast foods for dinner.
You're weird. You're weird.
Oh my God.
You are weird. Just going there. By the way, the ghost army is in France from the First World War battlefields.
Okay.
That would be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
You know, you hear, and that's one of the reasons why I love traveling so much, you know, especially to a lot of these older countries. You know, you hear so many amazing stories, and to get into some of these places that have so much history that's older than the US, you know, it's amazing. You know, for me, you know, ghost hunting has its own adventure. You know, you get to visit and spend quality time in some of these amazing historic places. And I'm okay if I don't have an experience, just to take in that history, to touch it, you know, to be in some of these haunted castles that I got to go in. That alone is an amazing experience.
Yeah, no kidding. I've never been off in North America, man.
Really?
Really? I
need to take you on a trip. Do you have your passport?
Of course I do. Of course
Are you sure it wasn't confiscated?
It's good for another 6 years.
6 years. All right. All right.
Yeah.
We're going to take you on a trip.
Yeah, let's go do that, man.
You need some adventure in your life. You're out in those backwoods.
Adventure? I'm taking you on some adventure when you get up here. We're going to go.
It is an adventure. You've given me some plenty of adventures out there.
Yeah, we got some more. We're not done showing off yet.
I tell you, Barkerville is one of my favorite experiences that you introduced me to.
Isn't it beautiful there?
It's amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot more. I still got to take you and David to the area where Merle and I got growled at by or talked to by the Sasquatch.
Are you sure it was Sasquatch?
Yeah.
Could have been just some hairy guy checking you guys out.
Well, well, now that you're thinking about it, I was wearing a nice cologne that day.
There you go. There you go.
You know, but we got about just over a minute and a half. Eugene is asking, what are the side effects of exposure to all of these haunted houses? That's a good question. Side effects.
Side effects?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people have always forewarned me of things following you home. But again, that all from me just stating my purpose, I think that's prevented things from following me home as well. I don't think I've ever experienced any side effects. If anything, it's more of a withdrawal, you know, especially being in COVID, not having the opportunity to explore some of these places, to test out new experiments. That's been the biggest side effect for me, is just not being able to get in and testing that and having those opportunities. Yeah, I can't think of any side effects. I know for some people that are more sensitive to the environments, they've expressed feeling drained from a property.
Yes.
You know, yeah. So I can understand that as well. You know, when you're putting out a lot of energy to make some sort of contact with the environment, it could definitely be draining.
For sure. On that note, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Man, 2 hours down, 1.5 hour to go. I love Ross Allison, and he is just, in my opinion, one of the top paranormal investigators in all of North America, if not the world. This guy's a real deal.
I pay you to say that.
Yes, you do. And handsomely as well. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio with Hour 3 next. All right, I'm just going to run the dogs out. I'll be right back.
Space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chide and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thaw, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around.
You got this guy. He must have hacked into one of my Facebook friends' profiles, and he's now asking me about if I know about cryptocurrency investment.
Oh my God.
So he asked, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I work in radio. And he goes, awesome. I'm an investor. Do you know about cryptocurrency investment? I said, yes. I also, as a side job, expose hackers on people's Facebook profiles. Gotcha.
Oh, I love those YouTube channels where they sit there and get those people spamming and they go with it, or.
Oh, yeah. There's an entire community out there now of hackers that are going into their systems and literally putting like viruses on their computers and wiping out their entire computer systems.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I love watching those. Hey Xavier, how you doing, man? No, I don't know actually how to hack into a computer. I am so computer illiterate, but I have a feeling this person doesn't know that I'm not.
I'm the same. I can just get through with writing my stories on a computer. I don't know too much.
Right? That's awesome.
Keeping up with all the social media too. I'm bad at that too. I just keep my Facebook page is like the only thing I tend to spend any time on.
Hold on, buddy. Here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate having you tuning on in. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. Want to say that if you want to hear our archives for free, you got it at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Galanti. Galanti is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, Ross Allison is here hanging out. We're talking ghosts, spirits all night long. And Ross, getting back to your new book coming out with David Weatherly on haunted prisons. This is exciting, man, because prisons, especially the old ones, really, really freak us out. I mean, when you get some of those prisons in the United States that are 100, 150 years old, the stories those walls must tell.
Oh my God, if they could talk. And sometimes they do. Yeah, in fact, I was just going over my notes from some of the prisons that I wrote about, and I have to tell you, there are so many places to talk about when it comes to haunted prisons. In fact, me and David talked for hours on the phone about this book because it was one of the hardest projects we had to do. I mean, after finishing this book, we basically had to just take a break, get this weight off our shoulder, because it was one of the most gruesome projects I had to work on. And I kept thinking, okay, the next story will get better. It won't be so bad. It won't be so gruesome. Nope. The next story seemed to be worse, and the next story seemed to be worse. And so, when we first started this project, we actually were going to include haunted jails in this book, but most of these prisons, these stories just were so detailed and there was so much information that the haunted prisons just took over the whole book. But I can tell you actually one interesting story. If you want one, believe me, I can tell you more. But Holmesburg Prison. This is actually in Philadelphia. It was actually considered the worst prison in America. Now, it actually closed in 1995, And a lot of people aren't really familiar with this prison because it's actually not too far from Eastern State Penitentiary. And that one's actually the most famous haunted prison. But this place is probably, I'd have to say, worse than Eastern State Penitentiary. Now, it was built as a solitary confinement back in 1896. And it actually, one of the most well-known stories that it's famous for is the Klondike. Now, a lot of prisons have what they call the Klondike. It's a basically solitary confinement for prisoners that are considered unruly. And they call it Klondike because it's out of the way. So it's away from all the prisoners. It's usually a very secluded place. Now, their Klondike was basically, it was cells that were 9x5 cells, and they had a shared toilet and faucet. They called this a hopper. All right, so you basically, if you consider it your toilet, it's much smaller than a standard toilet, but where the tank is, that's actually your sink. All right, so that's what a hopper is. Now, it was August 1938, they had a very horrific situation happen. And they refer to it as the Bake Oven Deaths or the Klondike Killings, if you want to look it up. And this is where 4 men who were involved in a riot, they were considered the leaders in this riot about the food quality of the prison. And so these 4 men that were considered the leaders, of course, guards back in those days had more rights to torture and punish the prisoners in any way that they wanted to. And so they decided to punish these 4 men by putting them in the Klondike. Now, this was a small, isolated building that basically had radiators. It was like 6 radiators strapped to the wall opposite of the cells. The windows that it did have were boarded up because they didn't want the prisoners to experience any sunlight. Again, isolation was the main torture. But they also used heat. So this little small building was heated by the radiators. And so they were known to crank the heat if they wanted to really torture these men. Now, consider the fact that this is August. So, Philadelphia already has its, warm heats. Crank up these heaters in this room. And to your surprise, the men slowly cooked to death. Yeah, they actually were there for the full weekend. What had happened was when they retrieved their bodies, they described them to be in such horrific condition that their bodies were bloated. Their eyes had popped out of their sockets.
Ew.
Yes. And the mother had to identify her son, who was this strapping young man, and he was basically shriveled up and in such bad decay that, the report of her was basically saying, "Oh my God, what did they do to you?" when she had to identify her son. Now, all 4 men died. They said that basically they were at a point where they were shouting, "Please just shoot me. I just want to die." Another man was, smashing his head against the wall trying to kill himself. It said they became so delirious that they were calling out their mother's names until they basically passed out because they couldn't breathe. And also, another fact is due to the lack of drinking water. Now, these men were basically stripped down to their skivvies. They were given nothing but a glass of water and a slice of bread for the day. And so when you're under these conditions, that glass of water doesn't last very long. They basically got the rest of their water from their toilet. And these toilets were flushed once a day by the guards. That's what they were left to survive, to try and survive under these conditions. Now, of course, they didn't survive. They were slowly cooked to death. And they said that the cells got to probably about 200 degrees. That's 12 degrees below boiling. Yeah. Now, 14 prison staff members were accused and tried, and most of them were let go because they just said that they were following orders. This is what they basically got away with, and only 2 officers were found guilty, and they received 3 years for what they had done to these 4 men. Yeah. Now, that just kind of gives you an idea of what the prison life was back in those days, what they could get away with. That was just basic torture for them that just went too far.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. Yeah.
So continuing on with just this prison, did you I'm sorry, do you have a question? Or
please go continue.
So, that's a tragic event alone. And that's enough to, trigger a haunting. But that's not all that happened at this prison. This prison actually became more famous for the experiments that they ran on the inmates. And this goes back to 1951. We're talking chemical experiments. In fact, these prisoners were used as lab rats for 30 pharmaceutical companies and the government alone. Yes. We're talking one former prisoner agreed to have a layer of his skin peeled off his back. And after they did that, they smeared chemicals all over his back to the point where it felt like his back was on fire. He was screaming in so much pain. Then there was an entire cell block that was exposed to Hong Kong flu, poison ivy, poison oak for chemical warfare. There was also drug testing that the government wanted to run on these men to see if they could actually have mind control over these men. And the result was that these men forgot who they were or even where they were from.
No kidding.
Yeah. They also did surgical tests where they actually put they sewed dead organs onto their backs, trying to see if these organs could regenerate. Yeah, could you imagine having some dead guy's heart on your back? Yeah, that's what they were doing.
Brutal.
Things like that. At one time, now you have to consider at this time, there were no laws against, scientific experiments on humans, let alone on prisoners, because you have to understand, once you've been in prison, you lose so many of your human rights.
Yes.
So they got away with this for quite some time. And another reason why they were so successful at doing this is because they were paying the prisoners. So, they weren't getting nothing out of this. They were making some money. They'd get like $1 a day to $300 a day, depending on the experiment that they were doing. Now, you'd think $1 is not a big crap, to most people. But in prison, you would make basically pennies for the jobs that you would do to try to, make some funds while you're in prison.
And this is going back, 100 years?
This is the 1950s.
So 70 years.
Yeah. So 1950s when this started, and it lasted, I think, it was about 20 years. But anyway, so yeah. So this was an incentive for these prisoners to do these experiments because they were making decent money. A lot more money than they would actually be making if they were doing the prison jobs. But you also have to understand, in Philadelphia, they had a system that if you could pay 10% of your bail money, you could get out of prison early. So this was another, incentive to speed up the system so they could get out of prison a lot sooner. So basically, this lasted for 20 years. and it ended in 1974. And this is just a handful of some of the experiments that they did. The book goes into more gruesome details of what they did to these guys. And they stopped doing it because it was inhumane.
Totally.
You know, in fact, you know, they didn't tell the prisoners half the things that they were going to do to them. And so some of these, you know, experiments they did easily led to, you know, cancers later in their life.
Yeah.
You know, so that came to an end in 1974. And of course, you know, the prison closed in 95. So the ghosts, the hauntings. Now, the prison is not open to the public. It actually is a facility now that they use for training. And they have other government things happen there. And they also still use it if there's ever any overcrowding in the other local prisons. So it's nothing that you can go visit and take a tour of like Eastern State Penitentiary. But the people that do work there, and even some of the paranormal activity that is reported since the, you know, the 80s, have described what they call the Holmesburg feeling. It's one of those places that, you know, as soon as you walk through the gates, you can feel that heaviness of, you know, these prisoners that are once here, this neglect, this negativity that just kind of takes over you. And, you know, many of the guards have experienced that their whole time being there. There was one office where a warden was stabbed to death, and no one likes to be in that office. They say the lights will turn on and off by themselves. You know, that feeling, that Holmberg feeling will come over you, and you just want to get out of that place. There will even be sounds outside the office just to distract you, to get you out of the office. Yeah. But there's also the Terror Dome. Now, the Terror Dome is the central hub of the prison. Now, if you've been to Eastern State Penitentiary, these two prisons are pretty much almost exactly alike. Holmesburg prison was basically a reflection of Eastern State because it was so successful. And that is where you basically have the center of the hub, and all the cells, the hallways to the cells, sprout out from the center. So it's kind of like spider web, if you think about it. All right. So if you're standing in the hub, you can look down the hall of all the cell blocks and keep an eye on everybody. But they say in that spot, you can hear people walking around in that area, cell doors slamming shut, the sounds of men screaming, yeah, can also be heard. But the most interesting spot for me, and I would love to go there and investigate, is where the Klondike building used to be, the old Klondike building. Now, they have torn it down. In fact, they immediately shut it down after that situation where those men were cooked to death. But it was around at least until, I believe, the 70s when they actually physically tore it down. And they say if you visit the spot, which is just an empty lot now, many people, again, will feel that heaviness, almost that choking feeling, like you're gasping for air. Some people even said that they'll smell flesh cooking.
Oh.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, we only got about 5 minutes left, but I want to change prisons because, you know, my sister's a 30-year prison guard, and she's seen a lot, and I've always kind of had an intrigue. And on a lot of those locked up shows that used to be on at like 11 o'clock at night, I used to, you know, go to bed watching those and then fall asleep usually. But the one that always got me, and I know you've investigated, is Brushy Creek or Brushy Mountain or what?
Brushy Mountain.
Brushy
yes.
Mountain, where they still had it was a 120-year-old prison. The brick walls were actually rock walls going up the side of a mountain, of Brushy Mountain. They used to do a lot of executions there back in the day. I mean, that was one mean place, and they hadn't changed anything since pretty much the beginning of its time.
Yes, no, that was definitely another interesting prison. I remember one of the stories too when I was researching that place is, again, it was a place where the worst of the worst went. In fact, if none of the prisons could handle you as a prisoner, you were sent off to this place. And one of the stories that I came across was when one inmate in the middle of the night killed his cellmate, cut him into tiny little pieces, and flushed those pieces down the toilet. To by morning, all that was left was the bones of this man, and he put these bones in a bag and walked out of his cell. Yeah, those are the kind of people that they were dealing with there. And, you know, I have to say, when I investigated that place, yeah, it's one of those places, yeah, I would not want to be alone. In fact, I've had somebody on my team have a horrific experience where something scratched him. You know, he was walking around in a cell, and he saw this dark force come right at him, and he was left with a scratch. And he was screaming. He ran out of that prison screaming, out of those cells. Yeah. So, yeah, I'd have to say Brushy Mountain is a great place. And they just opened that up to the public, too. So if you're ever in that area, you can actually take a tour of that prison. That's another prison that had recently closed that has been now open to the public. So I think it's like a restaurant and everything in there, too.
What are the EVPs like in a prison like that?
We've gotten some pretty good ones. Class A EVPs. I remember I did an investigation at the Deer Lodge prison, and that actually, we were up in a cell where some inmates were actually locked in during a riot, and we clearly hear a man say, "Let me out." I'm trying to think of another good EVP. An EVP at Eastern State. I was one of the first teams to investigate Eastern State Penitentiary. We did that for Discovery Channel. This was, again, before the ghost hunting shows. I think this was back in 2002. Remember, Ghost Hunters, which was the first, was in 2004. We did Eastern State. We spent the night at Eastern State, and we got an EVP of a man screaming. We also got an EVP of a man walking up to where we had set up some Scrabble tiles. And then you could hear some rustling, and then nothing. No walking away. If somebody was going to tamper with our equipment, you know, you would hear them walk up to the equipment, but you'd definitely hear them walk away. Nothing. Like something walked up to it, moved something around, and then it was just gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just thinking about that, because doing a prison in dark, that's got to be an eerie feeling.
Oh, yeah. Because, again, you know, where people want to, you know, say if you're experiencing something negative, oh, it's definitely a demon. But, again, you're dealing with the worst kind of people, which lead into the worst kind of spirits or ghosts. You know, writing this book, you learn a lot about the horrible things that another human being can do to another human being.
Yes.
You know, and that is gut wrenching. It really is, when these stories that I had to look into and write about. You know, it was hard. These are the things that give you nightmares. And to know that some of that energy alone of these people that have no remorse for what they've done to other people could still linger in these places.
That's
that
right.
have made these places their home.
Ross, hate to tell you, man, that was fast, but we are done. Tell everybody where they can find your info.
Well, definitely, I always encourage people, follow me on Facebook. I do a lot of live feeds when I am out there investigating. So you can join me on an investigation. I'm really good at keeping my Facebook up to date, with what I'm doing. Also, if you're interested in any of mine or David Weatherly's books, you know, check us out on Amazon and aghost.org.
Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire. We have the thought of the day. So we say goodnight to Ross and start to take this thing home. We'll be back right after this. Good job, brother.
Hope everybody enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're Ross Allison fans. They're waiting for you to come out of the studio and sign autographs now.
Well, I enjoyed it. I really did. I miss a lot of this stuff, you know.
Anytime you want to come on, dude.
You're in Canada. They won't let us in.
I know, but on the show.
We're diseased, remember?
Oh, yes, I know.
So we can't get our stuff together. So
as long as the border opens this year so I can have my Vegas party with all the SOR people, that's all I care about.
Here we go.
Yeah.
No, I would jump in my hearse and be up there in a heartbeat. So
yeah, well, you know where you could stay.
I definitely would take you up on it.
Yep.
I want to come up there. You know, Merle keeps teasing me with all these places he's getting into.
I know.
Spoiled bastard.
Yeah, I know. Good old Merle. You literally need about a month up here. You know, just to go straight up to the Alaska-Yukon border and straight back down, because there's a lot of shit going on and a lot of stories up there. You know, beyond Barkerville.
Oh, I bet.
You know, it's crazy insane. Crazy insane.
Like I said, as soon as the borders open up, I'd be up there in a heartbeat. So
Betty Spaghetti says a hearse ride to Vegas sounds fun.
It would. It'd be expensive though. Hearses are gas guzzlers. That's the only problem.
Well, yours is like a 1984.
96.
96?
96.
The hell you buy a hearse for?
I just wanted a hearse. I have a death museum. I gotta have a hearse. Come on.
Are you doing it up at least, like once you get back to work?
Yes, we're already starting to look for a location that we think we found a good one.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be as big as the last spot we had, but you know, it'll probably be the best decision because we don't know what tourism's gonna be like after this.
I still have 2 cans for you.
All right.
Yeah. Still have 2 cans. My friend, I'm going to let you go because I got to get ready for the news here.
You bet.
Much love, my brother. We'll talk very soon, okay?
All right. You take care. Be
All right,
safe.
bro. Take care. Bye. Rusty Allison right there. Love him. Love him. Love him. I figured that you guys would enjoy that. I wish David could have joined us. I apologize. Thanks, Troy SR71. I have not had a chance to watch the Robert Bigelow story yet on with Joe Rogan. I heard from listening and reading up on Twitter, I heard that Rogan wasn't too polite to Mr. Bigelow. Thanks, big fat creep. I'm surprised Bigelow did it, to be honest. Very surprised that he did it. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Ukrainian Watermelon, for listening on in, a.k.a. Little Ronnie Moniak in Saskatchewan. So everybody wave over to Little Ronnie Moniak so that way he can wave back to you. All right. We're getting closer. Vinster with a massive super chat there. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. Appreciate that love, Vin. You're always taking good care of us. Thank you so much for the super chat. Hey, Joey, how are you, man? Let's go, Yankees. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter @SpacedOutRadio and on Instagram @SpacedOutRadioShow. Speaking of the news, the news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the embarking. Yes, Elon Musk's red Tesla Roadster, carrying a dummy with a SpaceX spacesuit, just completed its second orbit. The SpaceX CEO's electronic vehicle made headlines when it was launched into space on February 6th, 2018. Hard to believe that was 3 years ago already. That was aboard Falcon Heavy, the first flight for the world's most powerful operational rocket. Yes, the website, Where Is Roadster, showed that as of Thursday, February 25th, 2021, Musk's car had completed 2 orbits around the sun. Want to dive deeper on SpaceX plans to explore the solar system? Yeah, you go and just follow them on Twitter. It was a big moment for the unconventional payload. The car holds a dummy dubbed Starman in the driver's seat wearing a SpaceX suit. The words "Don't Panic" are emblazoned on the dashboard, a reference to the Douglas Adams novel The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. A 5D quartz laser storage device produced by the Arch Mission Foundation contained Isaac Asimov's Foundation book trilogy. The in-car sound system played David Bowie's Space Oddity on loop. The Where Is Roadster website's creator, self-taught programmer Ben Pearson, tells the media that he hadn't realized the milestone was going to happen so soon. Pearson said that the interest in space for as long as he can remember, following the Falcon Heavy launch, he realized there was no easy way to track the car's journey. So he stepped up. He completed a basic version of his site in 7 hours, and the final version was completed around a month after the launch. Pearson, who has modeled the car's probable journey for the next 68 years, says the car tends to approach the Earth and Mars on even-numbered orbits. That means this upcoming third orbit may leave Starman feeling rather lonely. Oh no. Wouldn't that be cool to see in a telescope? If we had a telescope that powerful. That would be awesome. If you ever wanted to live beside Area 51, now is your chance, but you're going to have to buck up. That's because a cattle ranch beside the top-secret military base in Alamo, Nevada, has recently hit the market for $4.5 million. The 80-acre ranch, which comes with cattle and equipment, even has a grazing permit for 250 cows to go onto Area 51. The property can support up to 750 cattle and has 5,600 square foot hay barns to help out, a 1,248 square foot barn, and a 576-foot shop. Oh, I want that property. The ranch also includes 2 newer manufactured homes, a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom home with a wraparound deck, as well as a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom guest house. According to the current owners, Steve and Glenda Medlin, they worked out a deal with the U.S. Air Force to get the grazing permit for Area 51 several years ago. However, that permit comes with a catch. Before the cows can go onto Area 51, the ranch owner has to contact the base in advance using a radio the government gave to the Medlins. Tourists have flocked to the Medlins property because of the lore surrounding Area 51. In fact, their mailbox has been called the most photographed mailbox in the world. Many visitors to the area believe the mailbox has something to do with the supposed alien sighting, so for decades have vandalized the mailbox, stolen the Medlin's mail, and left letters for the aliens or even just shot at the mailbox. To get tourists to leave their actual mailbox alone, the Medlins replaced the black one with a white bulletproof mailbox with a padlock. The couple also put another small mailbox labeled Aliens and Dropbox out there. Still want to see that. It's an elder scare home. Urban explorers received the fright of a lifetime after spotting a mysterious disappearing figure while perusing an infamous abandoned nursing home in the United Kingdom. Yeah, Cater's news footage of the nightmare-introducing moment has gone viral online. Things like that are bound to give you a cold shiver down your spine, said South Yorkshire's Matt Nadine, who had encountered the bone-chilling sight after sneaking into Liverpool's notorious Maudesley Manor care home with his pal Andy Thompson. Dubbed the nursing home from hell, Maudesley had housed dozens of senior citizens, including some with disabilities and dementia, before it was forced to close in 2015 for employing criminals and keeping patients in squalor. The spine-tingling 2-minute clip begins innocuously enough with the 2 adventurers who go by the name Finders Beepers History Seekers on YouTube, exploring the moldering interior of the dilapidated building, likely like any garden variety ghost hunter show. All of a sudden, their camera pans to a dark, large figure above them at the top of the staircase. The eerie entity darts to its right, up upon which Nadine scrambles up the stairs to discover that the paranormal peeper has inexplicably vanished. Well, go figure that's going to happen. Despite jacking up the pair's adrenaline, Nadine initially didn't feel the ghostly gawker was anything spectral, more like a homeless person or another explorer. The adventurer changed his mind after finding that the only thing in the direction in which the figure moved towards was a wall with a hole too tiny to escape through. It also led to a steep drop-off from the top floor down to the bottom of the facility. Yeah, there was no way anybody could have got back across that top part of the stairs without Andy seeing them as I ran up the stairs. And as footage shows, there was nowhere for them to go, Nadine says. Naturally, the idea of something supernatural stagger from the derelict building might sound far-fetched even for The Conjuring. However, Nadine claimed that their friends in the paranormal science circles deemed the footage the most conclusive proof of the existence of ghosts they had ever seen on video. Well, now we got to see this thing. Now we got to see that. We'll have to do that after the show. Moving on. Facebook has apologized after threatening to permanently ban an 81-year-old knitter who makes woolen pig dolls for hate speech violations involving the word pigs. Rita Rich Malaki, who lives in Australia, began knitting the little pigs to deal with her grief after her husband died last year and set up a Facebook page devoted to the creations. Recently, the self-described porcophile found herself accused of hate speech by the tech company because she used the term white pigs in a comment under a photo about white rabbits, which she captioned one of her pig photos, high-vis pigs. Facebook also removed the post. Now, the woman said for some reason, or for someone who had never even had so much as an overdue library book, an accusation of hate speech was frightening. One was on February 1st when a friend in Shrewsbury posted white rabbits, as it was the first of the month. And I said, no, white pigs. Everyone on the knit site and my page knows I'm a porcophile, she explained. Facebook obviously used a bot to trawl around Facebook, and I had to make 2 comments, totally innocent, which the bot saw as hate speech. Facebook eventually apologized for the mistake and restored her posts. The company did not immediately respond to an after-hours email by the media. Our systems made a mistake here, and the comments have now been reinstated. We do sometimes make mistakes when reviewing content, which is why we give people the opportunity to appeal against our decisions. Pop star Lady Gaga is offering a $500,000 reward for the return of her French bulldogs, Koji and Gustav, after they were stolen in Hollywood. Yeah, so this is what happened. This is a weird story. Gaga, who recently performed the national anthem at Joe Biden's inauguration last month, has been in Rome filming a movie. Her 3 French bulldogs remained in Hollywood. The outlet said that Gaga's dog walker was walking the dogs innocently on Wednesday evening when he was shot 4 times. The third dog, Miss Asia, escaped and was later recovered. So shortly before 10 p.m., on Wednesday, a male gunman wielding a semi-automatic handgun shot a male in his 30s in Hollywood and fled in a white vehicle, stealing 2 French bulldogs. Los Angeles police officer Drake Madison said fire department paramedics took the male victim to a local hospital where he was in critical condition from a single gunshot wound. He is expected to survive. The source close to Lady Gaga, who spoke on the condition of anonymity, said the singer was urging anyone who has the dogs to contact the email Koji and Gustav at gmail.com to return the dogs and retrieve the reward. No questions asked. The French Bulldog is a popular breed, and there have been a growing trend of the dogs, which can cost several $1,000s as puppies, being stolen for resale and breeding. Here's a scary story. A sailor who fell overboard survived by clinging to a piece of sea rubbish, his son has revealed. Vidam Paravirtilov spent 14 hours in the water after he fell off a cargo ship in the Pacific Ocean in the early hours of the morning. The 52-year-old, who was not wearing a life jacket, credits his decision to swim towards a black dot several kilometers away with saving his life. It turned out to be a fishing buoy, which he held onto until his rescue. He looked about 20 years older and very tired, but he was still alive, his son had said. The gentleman is a Lithuanian chief of engineer of the Silver Supporter, which was making a supply run between New Zealand's Tauranga port and the isolated British territory of Pitcairn. Following a shift in the engine room pumping fuel, he felt crazy, hot, and dizzy, his son said. He then walked out onto the deck to get some fresh air to discover at around 4 o'clock in the morning before falling overboard. Murat, who got his details of his father's survival tale via message chats, believes he may have fainted as he does not remember going over. Unaware that a man had fallen overboard, the ship sailed away. After struggling to stay afloat until the sun rose, the gentleman noticed a black speck on the horizon and decided to swim towards it. It was not anchored to anything or a boat. It was just a piece of sea rubbish. It took a ship crew about 6 hours to notice that their engineer was missing, at which point the captain turned the ship around. According to reports, the crew determined his approximate location by looking at Mr. Paravirtilov's work logs, which showed that he was last on board at 4 a.m. The ship's coordinates at the time was about 400 nautical miles south of French Polynesia's Austral Islands. Distress messages were then radioed out to the ship's area. French Navy aircraft joined the search from Tahiti, and French Meteorological Service studied the winds to calculate the possible drift patterns. But it would be known that his own vessel would be the one who found him. Thankfully, he is alive. He is expected to recover, and that is actually really, really cool that his son still has a father. Well, leave it to Captain Shirk to put a story like this in our news run. She's dangerous, people. Very, very dangerous, the Captain Shirk. A diver has managed to capture some incredibly rare photos off the coast of Australia, underwater, of course, of the elusive penis fish. Freediver Josie Jones was scouring the waters around Ryefront Beach in Victoria when she came across the bizarre marine worm. Now, obviously, you can see where it gets its unique moniker from, because This worm, honestly, it looks like a circumcised penis. It really does. It's weird. To be fair, it's actually called the Priapodulia, or what is that? Priapolida in scientific terms, but the penis fish is a lot more fun to say. I mean, it just rolls off the tongue a little bit nice, doesn't it? Well, for some of us. Josie, by the way, was naturally quite amused by her discovery, as were those who later saw it on social media. After she uploaded the images from her underwater camera, one person commented, "Wow, some marine animals are going to have fun with that." Josie responded, "You've got such a wonderful imagination." Another person said, "It made my day and some of my friends' day too." However, Josie isn't just out there for a jolly. Part of what she does is help clean up the beach and give the creatures, no matter how strange, a better life under the waves. She explained, "It's so funny. The little creatures like the sea cucumber have a better life. I have cleaned this beach for 10 years, and so I've seen the difference cleaning has made in the water. I dive to take photos and document the increase of seagrasses and seabeds. I clean the beaches to improve the water quality. It was a sea cucumber or penis worm. Only the nerds get crazy on what the subspecies it is. We have over 160 species living under the pier." Josie also runs a campaign to help stop people littering by Australian seaside and has spent a whole heap of her own time pulling things out of the water that shouldn't be there. She added, "I run a litter campaign called At the Only Butt. We have a social campaign, and I advocate for positive behavior to protect our marine environment." Good for her. And she loves the picture of the penis fish. Finally tonight, Hasbro has made a change. Apparently, it's no longer Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head as a whole. At first, we thought we were losing the Mr. from the Potato Head, but now the company is saying that after listening to social media, that they are going to keep Mr. Potato Head and Mrs. Potato Head, but the entire box is going to be just the Potato Heads. That is our political news for tonight about the Potato Heads. That's where we stand. That's where we are. The Potato Heads continue. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. Tell me your weirdest ghostly experience. Marty, my son, when he was about 9, came screaming out of his bedroom because someone whispered into his ear. He's had a lot of experiences. John, in about 1980, my family and I lived in an old farmhouse out in the countryside. As we were getting ready to go to sleep one night, we heard what sounded like a child calling Mommy. I will always remember that voice. It almost echoed in a ghostly way. It seemed to be coming from outside around the back of the house. My dad investigated and immediately found nothing. Jeff, my son, between the ages of 3 and 5, told his mother that he knew she had a sister. My wife asked, "Oh yeah? How did you know that?" He said she visits him and that he calls her auntie. My wife's sister passed away before my wife was born, and we never told my son at the time when he was 3. He also told us that he was happy he chose us to be his parents because his previous parents left him in a dark room by himself and he died. That's why now he is scared of the dark. Sparkles, I used to live in a very active house. One day I saw a little girl wearing a wash dress come down the hall towards me. Then she just disappeared. What was really odd is that I saw no feet. Angela, so many weird, unexplainable. A solid man, full color, appeared on my bed. I had him by the wrist and my dog pawed him so we could both touch him. As soon as I let go of his wrist, he vanished. Ooh, that's freaky. Freaky. Nikki, 2020, standing in the shower and someone's deceased grandmother stood on the other side of the bathroom wall. She was in my living room talking to me to give me a plethora of information about her living family. The information apparently couldn't wait until I was out of the shower, dried off, and dressed. Awesome Annie Svensson, 2002. I moved into a house that had so many things going on, but all in one night, I woke up with a bright blue light glowing from the living room that disappeared when it realized it wasn't the TV. Later, I woke up with the bathroom sink running full blast. Then I woke up to the front door slamming and stomping on the stairs, and I thought it was my daughter. Then, when I tried to go back to sleep, I woke up to a boom, boom, boom from the front door. It was my daughter who had forgotten her key and had not come home in the earlier time when I heard. It was a crazy night. Kevin, I was trying to communicate with my mom's mother on the 20th anniversary of her passing and was getting nowhere. I could see her, but I could not hear her, the words she spoke. This lack of communication went on for several minutes until I asked her to visit a psychic friend of mine. She vanished. 2 minutes later, I began to hear my grandmother's voice, faint at first, then stronger. She is telling me to come back once she gets out of the shower. Kira, I have so many ghost experiences, but the weirdest one was last year. We were visiting a friend who had lost his wife a year ago. I was wakened just before midnight and intuitively guided to walk into the living room near the stairway to the downstairs. Suddenly, a woman's voice calls out his name 3 times. The voice came from downstairs and had a strange electronic interference. I went to investigate, thinking maybe it was coming from the computer downstairs. I got down there and didn't see anything but felt a cold chill come over my body. The next morning, I told my friend the story, and he said his deceased wife used to call his name 3 times to come downstairs to help her. Science Bob went to Avenel House in Bedford, Virginia with Viper Paranormal. It was a hoot. We divided into 2 groups and did sessions all over the house. We were in our last room trying EVP, and when we heard talking outside the door, so we wrapped it up, went downstairs. We complained to the other team about the noise they were making. They had been downstairs for a while. It wasn't them. We played the recording, and everyone freaked out. And let's see, we can get one more in here. Andrew. LOL, no shower visitors. Nope, not having it. Thank you to everybody participating in the Thought of the Dave. We will do it all again tomorrow on Facebook and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, so make sure you check it on out. Thank you to Captain Shirk for a wonderful SOR Newswire, including introducing our audience to the penis fish. The penis fish. Yes, we love Captain Shirk's witty sense of humor around here. Yes, she is the best. I absolutely adore her. And, of course, to Ross Allison, filling in for David Weatherly, who is off filming, but we had a blast talking paranormal and ghosts all night long. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thanks to everyone in our chat rooms tonight, including Eric Cooper and his fantastic beard in YouTube, LGAB, Rev Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, say it with me, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But tomorrow, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. That's good stuff right there, people. Good quality stuff right there. You know, the fact that Eric Cooper comes in with his big beard and really rocks the Casbah there. You know, I mean, that's the way we get it done. Totally get it done. To fire us, Allison. Do 225 KZAX. Hi, Ronnie. Good night, Ronnie. Put some Tabasco on those gyros. Best thing ever. Tabasco's weak. Man up and get some real hot sauce, like Bumblefoot. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Bumble me, baby. Good night, Sovereign Farts. Good to see you. Spreaker, I love you sometimes. I love you, Spreaker, sometimes. Yeah, I gotta download this episode from here. There we go. Download. All right, I'll be right back. I gotta take a quick bathroom break. There's 83 of you. Don't all disappear, because I'll be right back, and we'll get to shoot the shit and have some fun and talk some ghosts and about Eric Cooper's beard and about Surf Jer being one of the awesome vets that listens to this show. And we love our veterans around here. So if you're a veteran, come in and say hello, please. Thank you. Be right back. We lost 9. We always seem to lose 9 when I go to take a bathroom break. It's funny. We always lose 9. I don't know why. It's always 9. Felicia, is this your first time here? I apologize if it's not. Human Carl is also a Vietnam veteran. Marty Resader on Twitter, who does our clowns, he's a Vietnam veteran. We got lots of Vietnam veterans who listen to us, and I love each and every one of you, man. Love each and every one of you. And even the guys and gals who served recently, like over the last 20, 30 years, man, I fucking love you guys too. You guys are amazing. Fucking big time balls deep there, man. Oh, I missed that one. Undo that. A little bit further there. Go to there. We have a great military up here. It's just small. Well, Felicia, we're glad you're here for the first time, and we hope it's not the last. You're always welcome to be a part of our chat family if you want. You know, just watch out for Vinster and Fapster. They're dangerous folk. They're National Leaguers. They're not American Leaguers. And I noticed a bunch of you talking hot wings there. When we do our Vegas party, whenever that'll be, as soon as COVID ends, we're going to have to find some place in Vegas to do a hot wings challenge. Joey, let Corrence, the booking guy, know that. Ah, yes. Surf Jer and the Coop and Coop's beard. Surf Jerry, you got to remember, Eric Cooper is different from Eric Cooper's beard. They are literally two separate entities. But you got to love them both at the same time. I'm a big Eric Cooper fan. Big time Eric Cooper fan. Always have been. Love that guy. No spicy tuna hand roll challenge, man. Sounds disgusting, to be honest. No, honestly, it sounds terrible. Let's just be blunt here. It sounds terrible. Bombshell Bomber, are you in Thunder Bay? Is that where you are? I always forget where in Ontario you are. Dave doesn't eat fish. Oh, God. Say hello to the hub for me. Say hello to the hub for me. I love that bar. Really? Oh, that's kind of cool. Ends right there. Are you near Mississauga or Brampton? Coop, I thought you weren't talking to her anymore. Taco Bell's fire sauce is not that hot. I've got some hot sauce bottles. I've got about 40 or 50 of them over here that I've gone through. I collect my hot sauce bottles. This one was rectal rocket fuel. That one was pretty tough. That one hurt the system. The bomb hot sauce, that was brutal. Blair's Megadeth sauce. That one sure burnt the asshole. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Oh, that felt good. That felt real good. I'm just sitting here, hanging out, chewing on my beard. Hello, Corrance. My siblings hired a private hacker to put us on Hey Google plan for children. Swear it, and it sucks so much. Ouch, but it's true, and we're fighting it like bad. I'm 59. Google's going to know soon. Oh, you troublemaker. You troublemaker. This thing ever gonna friggin' download? Holy cow. Oh, wow. Kind of hit the wrong start time there. You have to, Bass Senior. You have to. It's annoying, honestly. I don't understand how these guys can like have beards down there. I find this annoying. Come on, you stupid thing. Let's go. Yep. I wake up chewing my beard every night. Where'd Cooper go? Oh, there's Coop's beard. Hey, dirty filth. Thought you went off to bed. Oh, Vinster, you totally did see me wearing my beautiful Yankees cap. Totally. Look at this. Pride and joy, man. Pride and joy. Hey, Super Ron, how you doing? Read it and weep there, Fapster. This is what winning looks like right here. This is what winning looks like. You guys are once every 30 years. Thank you, JP. I know what you know that winning or what winning means. No, I don't even know what Jamatra is or Jamatra. Don't even know what it is. Fill me in there, Larry. Joey, you are a sick individual cheering for the Red Sox. Your poor Mariners, Coop. They just never seem to get their shit together. Oh, damn it. Wrong button. Hate it when I do that. Babster, I have faith. I have faith. And just for that, Fap, I'm not sharing my almonds with you. Because I have almonds in here. And they're good. I don't know where the gorgeous Manitoba Becky's been lately. She was in here briefly the other night, but she hasn't been chatty in weeks. Thanks, Surf Chair. I love you too, man. You go surfing with the sharks. You got balls bigger than me. Hey, whoa, 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 Shelly. There is no calling for all-nighters here when I'm stuck in Canada. Oh, Fap, come on. Don't you cheer for the Leafs. Come on. You're better than that, Fap. Some king-size bullshit right there. Oh, totally, Ron. Totally. This is all I'm going to have for tonight, though. I hate the Leafs. Always hated the Leafs. Leaf fans are just so smug. For a team that hasn't won a Stanley Cup since 1967, they are so smug. Can't stand Calgary. Dallas is horrible, too. Can't stand the Rangers either. God, I hate the New York Rangers. I'd take the Habs over the Leafs. I'd take the Habs over the Leafs. Huge. Anyways, I'm going to bed, people. I'm tired. I got to work in the morning. But it's all good. No, Dave didn't go for a quick Timmy's run. Dave did not go for a quick Timmy's run. I'll go to Timmy's for breakfast tomorrow. All right, guys. Thank you for a great show. Thanks, Dazzling Dolly, Mandingo, and Vinster Barbarino. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being with us, man. I'm going to bed, and I'm going to have a good sleep. And I hope you guys all join us tomorrow night because it's the round table. We're going to have some fun. Take your questions as well. We'll talk then, guys. 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. We own the night. Yeah. Yeah, we own it. Okay, I'm going. Bye.